Adani, and there are two other people who are involved in this round tripping of money. One is a gentleman called Nasser Ali Shaban Ali, and another is a Chinese gentleman called Chang Chung Ling. So the second question arises, why are these two foreign nationals being allowed to play with the valuation of one of the companies that controls almost all of Indian infrastructure? Who are these people? And why are they being allowed to do this? And what is the role of the brother of Mr. Adani in all this? The final point, which is a very interesting point, is that there was an investigation, evidence was given to SEBI, and SEBI gave a clean chit to Mr. Adani. And it's very interesting to note that the same gentleman who gave a clean chit to Mr. Adani is today a director in NDTV. So it is very clear that there is something very wrong here. Now, we are trying to show the world that we are a transparent economy. We are trying to show the world and our businesses that India has a level playing field. The question, of course, is why is this one gentleman who is close to the Prime Minister of India allowed to move $1 billion to pump up his share price, to use that money to capture Indian assets, airports, ports? Why is there no investigation taking place? It's very important that the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, clears his name and categorically explains what is going on. At the very least, a JPC should be allowed and a thorough investigation should take place. I don't understand why the Prime Minister is not forcing an investigation. Why is he quiet? Why doesn't he say that he is going to make sure that this issue is investigated and the people who are responsible are put behind bars? So this is raising a very serious question on the Indian Prime Minister just before leaders of the G20 are coming here, are going to be our guests, and they're going to be asking the question, what is this special company? This company that is owned by a gentleman close to the Prime Minister, why is it that in an economy like India, this gentleman is being given a free ride? They're going to ask this question, and I think it's very important that this matter is made clear before they arrive. Hindi. एक मिनट देखिए, G20 का समय है, अलग अलग देशों से यहां लीडर्स आ रहे हैं, और आज सुबह एक बहुत गंभीर मामला उठाया गया है। दो फाइनेंशियल न्यूज़पेपर्स में, दुनिया के जो मशहूर फाइनेंशियल न्यूज़पेपर्स हैं, ये गार्डियन न्यूज़पेपर है, इसमें साफ लिखा है, जो मोदी लिंक्ड अदानी फैमिली सीक्रेटली इन्वेस्टेड इन ओन शेयर्स, डॉक्यूमेंट सजेस्ट। मतलब एक परिवार जो मोदी जी के बहुत करीब है, उसने अपने शेयर में अपना पैसा इन्वेस्ट किया शेयर प्राइस को इन्फ्लेट करने के लिए। दूसरा, यहां फाइनेंशियल टाइम्स अखबार है, इसमें लिखा है हिडन इन्वेस्टर्स एंड अ सीक्रेट पेपर ट्रेल। और ये गार्डियन की अंदर का पेज है, वेल्थी इंडियन फैमिली विद लिंक्स टू मोदी इन्वेस्टेड इन ओन शेयर्स। मतलब $1 बिलियन हिंदुस्तान से अदानी जी की कंपनी के नेटवर्क के थ्रू अलग अलग देशों में गया और फिर वापस आया, और उस पैसे से अदानी जी ने, जो उनकी शेयर प्राइस थी, उसको बढ़ाया, इन्फ्लेट किया, और उस फायदे से हिंदुस्तान का जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, जो अदानी जी एयरपोर्ट्स खरीद रहे हैं, पोर्ट्स खरीद रहे हैं, अभी यहां धारावी में शायद उनको बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट मिला है, तो ये सब जो हिंदुस्तान के जो एसेट्स हैं, जो पूंजी हैं, जो अदानी जी खरीद रहे हैं, वो इस पैसे से शेयर प्राइस को इन्फ्लेट करके खरीद रहे हैं। तो ये सवाल इन्होंने उठाया है और उन्होंने कहा है कि उनके पास सबूत है, पेपर ट्रेल है, इंटरनल ईमेल्स हैं, डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं। तो सबसे पहले सवाल उठता है, ये जो पैसा यूज किया जा रहा है ये किसका है? ये अदानी जी का है या ये किसी और का है? और अगर किसी और का है तो वो किसका है? ये सबसे पहला सवाल है। दूसरा सवाल है कि इस काम को करने के लिए मास्टरमाइंड विनोद अदानी जी हैं, जो उनके भाई हैं, गौतम अदानी जी के भाई हैं, मगर उनके साथ उनके दो बिजनेस पार्टनर और हैं। एक का नाम नासिर अली शबान अली और दूसरा चैंग चुंग लिंग चाइना का है। तो दूसरा सवाल यह उठता है कि जब अदानी जी हिंदुस्तान का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खरीदे जा रहे हैं, तो ये जो चाइनीज नेशनल है, ये इसमें कैसे इन्वॉल्व है? इसका क्या रोल है? इसने क्या किया? यह साबित होना चाहिए। यह दूसरा सवाल। और ये जो फॉरेन नेशनल्स हैं, ये हिंदुस्तान की शेयर मार्केट को कैसे मैनिपुलेट कर रहे हैं? यह सवाल क्यों नहीं पूछा जा रहा है? नेशनल सिक्योरिटी का मामला है। अदानी जी डिफेंस में काम करते हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में काम करते हैं, एयरपोर्ट्स पोर्ट्स में काम करते हैं। तो ये जो दो फॉरेन नेशनल्स हैं, खासतौर ये जो चाइनीज आदमी है चैंग चुंग लिंग, इसका क्या रोल है? यह दूसरा सवाल। और तीसरा सवाल, जो सेबी का इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ था, जिसने क्लीन चिट दी, जिस व्यक्ति ने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया और जिसने क्लीन चिट दी, आज वो अदानी जी का जो चैनल है एनडीटीवी, उसका डायरेक्टर है। तो मतलब ये एक नेटवर्क है। इसमें आपको इंस्टीट्यूशनल कैप्चर दिख रहा है। सेबी का चेयरमैन क्लीन चिट देता है और उसके एकदम बाद अदानी जी की कंपनी में डायरेक्टर बन जाता है। इंटरनेशनल मामला है, स्टॉक मार्केट को इन्फ्लेट किया जा रहा है और उस इन्फ्लेट करने के बाद उससे हिंदुस्तान के एसेट्स खरीदे जा रहे हैं। तो सवाल यह उठता है, इसके बारे में प्रधानमंत्री कुछ क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? शांत क्यों हैं? यहां पे फॉरेन न्यूज़पेपर्स ने साफ कहा है, वेल्थी इंडियन फैमिली विद लिंक्स टू मोदी। मतलब अखबार कह रहा है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी का अदानी जी का रिश्ता है। सवाल उठता है, क्या रिश्ता है? और ये जो एजेंसीज हैं, सीबीआई है, ईडी है, ये अदानी जी पर रिसर्च क्यों नहीं कर रही हैं? ये अदानी जी को इंटेरोगेट क्यों नहीं कर रही हैं? ये सवाल उठता है। हिंदुस्तान का रेप्यूटेशन लाइन पे है। G20 हो रहा है, हम कहते हैं कि यहां पे लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड है, हिंदुस्तान ट्रांसपेरेंट है, यहां पे भ्रष्टाचार नहीं है। और उन सबके सामने जब वो यहां आ रहे हैं, उनके सामने ये उदाहरण है। $1 बिलियन यहां से जा रहा है, स्टॉक प्राइस इन्फ्लेट की जा रही है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और एसेट्स खरीदे जा रहे हैं। जिसने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया उसको अदानी जी ने मतलब अपनी कंपनी में नौकरी दे दी। तो ये हिंदुस्तान की इमेज को डैमेज कर रहा है और इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री को एकदम एक्शन लेना चाहिए और कहना चाहिए कि हां, हम जेपीसी लागू करेंगे, जेपीसी इसको इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी और फुल स्केल इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा अदानी जी का। थैंक यू।
संजीव एक 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 चिल्लाइए मत प्लीज, चिल्लाइए मत, मैं आऊंगा, चिल्लाइए मत। अरे संजीव, मैंने संजीव को बुलाया, प्लीज आपका टर्न आएगा, आप इंतजार कीजिए।
I mean, what is amazing to me is that the gentleman who has done the investigation, right, he is today an employee of Mr. Adani. What does that tell you about the nature of investigation that the gentleman did? Right? So, it is pretty clear that no investigation took place, and the only reason no investigation took place is because the Prime Minister didn't want an investigation to take place. Mr. Adani cannot stop an investigation. The Prime Minister can. With regards to the India alliance, this is a national issue. This is not an issue of any one party. This is a national issue. This is an issue that affects India's reputation, right? Especially because now there is the G20 taking place, and India's reputation and the Prime Minister's reputation is on the line. There are 20 guests coming, and right in front of them, two of the biggest financial dailies in the world have said that the Prime Minister is involved with Mr. Adani.
एक सवाल
नहीं, इशू एक ही है। इशू ये है कि आज हिंदुस्तान में कोई लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड नहीं है। अदानी जी हैं, वो हिंदुस्तान के कोई भी एसेट को खरीद सकते हैं, चाहे वो धारावी हो, मुंबई एयरपोर्ट हो, सीमेंट कंपनी हो, डिफेंस कंपनी हो। मैंने अपने भाषण में कहा था, प्रधानमंत्री फॉरेन टूर पे जाते हैं, अदानी जी उनके साथ जाते थे, उसके एकदम बाद उनको अदानी जी को बड़े बड़े कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मिल जाते हैं। तो सवाल लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड का है। सिर्फ एक व्यक्ति को प्रधानमंत्री इस प्रकार से क्यों प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं, और एक व्यक्ति हिंदुस्तान के सब एसेट खरीद रहा है, और क्लियरली उस व्यक्ति ने कुछ गलत तो किया है। $1 बिलियन यहां से गए हैं, किसका पैसा है? प्रधानमंत्री को पता लगाना चाहिए किसका है, और देश को यह पता चलना चाहिए है किसका पैसा।
अभी हो गया।
थैंक यू ब्रदर। नहीं, देखिए, हमने ये रेज किया है क्योंकि यहां पे G20 हो रहा है और हिंदुस्तान की रेप्यूटेशन की बात है, ठीक है। और ये बिल्कुल क्लैरिटी से बोला है इन्होंने। ये कह रहे हैं कि इनके पास डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं, इनके पास ईमेल्स हैं, $1 बिलियन यहां से गया है और वापस आया है, उसके माध्यम से शेयर प्राइस बढ़ाई गई है, और उस शेयर प्राइस के बढ़ाने से हिंदुस्तान के एसेट्स खरीदे गए। तो मैं तो इसको रोज उठा रहा हूं, जब भी चांस मिलता है मैं इसको उठाता हूं, और हम उठाते जाएंगे।
यस मैम, यस मैम, यस मैम।
In the name of Amrit Kaur and G20, do you think that is another indicator and it's planning to do the election?
Maybe I think it's an indicator of a little panic. Same type of panic that happened when I spoke in Parliament House. Panic that suddenly made them revoke my parliament membership. So I think it is panic because these matters are very close to the Prime Minister. And whenever you touch the Adani matter, the Prime Minister gets very uncomfortable and very nervous.
Yes, Suryavanshi ji. Suryavanshi ji. 1 minute, Suryavanshi ji.
Hello.
I don't think there's any difference in opinion. We are very clear. A JPC should be called, and this matter needs to be investigated. This is a matter of India's reputation, India's global reputation. It should be investigated.
राहुल जी, अडानी ग्रुप की तरफ से दलील दी गई है। राहुल जी यहाँ राहुल जी इधर, राहुल आपके लेफ्ट तरफ, राहुल जी
एक सवाल एक समय। हाँ जी।
देखिए, मैं दोहरा रहा हूं कि ये हिंदुस्तान के रेपुटेशन का मामला है। ठीक है, हमारे सामने G20 है, यहां पे दुनिया के लीडर्स आ रहे हैं और यहां पे प्रधानमंत्री पे डायरेक्टली सवाल उठाया गया है। एंड प्राइम मिनिस्टर शुड कम क्लीन. प्राइम मिनिस्टर शुड से यस, आई अनाउंस अ JPC, I announce an investigation into Mr. Adani. I announce an investigation into this, क्या नाम है उसका, चाइनीज वाले का, Chang Chung Ling. I announce an investigation into this Chang Chung Ling man and also into this Nasser Ali Shaban Ali man. Right? So this is the duty of the Prime Minister.
शुक्रिया, आप लोग सब चाय के लिए आमंत्रित हैं।
Thank you very much.
Okay, that was Rahul Gandhi addressing a press conference, and as expected and as we told you here on India Today, it was completely focused on the Financial Times report on Adani. The allegations in that report were detailed by Rahul Gandhi, and he says at the very least a joint parliamentary committee investigation needs to happen. He's also questioned why the Prime Minister has been silent on the Adani issue since the Hindenburg report that came out earlier this year as well. Rahul Gandhi making it very, very clear with this press conference that Adani, like the Rafale issue in 2018, 2019, perhaps is going to be his mudda number one, or at least one of his most high-profile issues in the attack against the Modi government. Crony capitalism, big business, all elements that were present in Rahul's big war cry in 2018, 2019. The body language this time very much the same. The layers are also very much the same. And Rahul Gandhi pointing an angry finger at the Modi government, and specifically that of the Prime Minister, to say, you owe the country answers as far as the Adani issue is concerned. Why have you been silent? Rahul Gandhi detailing many of the allegations put out in those reports, taking those names as well, and calling for an investigation. How much political momentum is this issue going to give the larger Team India alliance remains to be seen, because so far it is only Rahul Gandhi of the Congress party and to an extent the Uddhav Sena that has taken up the Adani issue in a way that that comes anywhere close to consistency. All of the others have been largely, either hypocritical or silent on it. Sharad Pawar is someone who is seen to be close to Gautam Adani, who a few months ago had been reported to have advised Rahul Gandhi against taking this up in a big way, commenting that it may not have any electoral resonance. It might be high profile in some ways, but it has no real resonance as far as voters are concerned, and therefore does it really fit in with the Team India agenda, since time is so short before the 2024 election? Should muscle and energy be invested in something that does not have any real possibility of harvesting the vote? So we're going to wait on our reporters from the ground right now. I think we're going to be joined in a short moment from now by Rajdeep Sardesai. No, we'll go to our reporters first before we play out for you once again what Rahul has said. While we're waiting for that quick little recap of what Rahul said, here's that big attack.
Now, we are trying to show the world that we are a transparent economy. We are trying to show the world and our businesses that India has a level playing field. The question, of course, is why is this one gentleman who is close to the Prime Minister of India allowed to move $1 billion to pump up his share price, to use that money to capture Indian assets, airports, ports? Why is there no investigation taking place? It's very important that the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, clears his name and categorically explains what is going on. At the very least, a JPC should be allowed and a thorough investigation should take place. I don't understand why the Prime Minister is not forcing an investigation. Why is he quiet? Why doesn't he say that he is going to make sure that this issue is investigated and the people who are responsible are put behind bars? So this is raising a very serious question on the Indian Prime Minister just before leaders of the G20 are coming here, are going to be our guests, and they're going to be asking the question, what is this special company? This company that is owned by a gentleman close to the Prime.
I want to quickly go across to India today. Sahil Joshi and Saurabh Vakhtania are both reporting on this story. Sahil, Rahul Gandhi, dedicating that entire press conference to the Adani issue and nothing else at all. Many familiar things being said as well. What did you think of it? Do you think that Adani could become a very big issue? The Team India alliance is about to meet.
Well, that was the question asked to Rahul Gandhi, where, when it comes to Adani, we know that the alliance partners like NCP has expressed some different views with respect to the whole issue of Hindenburg report. But the three major financial newspapers coming up with a story with respect to the Adani investment definitely pushed Congress to have a press conference today. We also, it's kind of a rejuvenation of their demand for the JPC. We also asked him with respect to the, the parliament session which has been called from 18 to 22nd of September, and we asked him whether you are going to raise this question in the parliament again from 18 to 22nd September. He said that our demand for JPC is going to be primary, and that is what we are going to raise. We also asked him with respect to the Supreme Court hearing, because the Constitutional Bench is already hearing the Hindenburg report issue, and I have asked SEBI to submit their report. SEBI has asked for more time, and there is a postponement of the hearing, the media report suggests. With respect to that, Rahul Gandhi is pushing for JPC once again. And what I hear is that before taking this press conference, the Congress has already communicated to the alliance partners like Shiv Sena, even NCP. All the leaders were present inside the Hyatt Hotel at this point. Shiv, I have Rajdeep Sardesai also with me. Rajdeep, you were also there in the press conference. Is it an old wine in the new bottle? Because again, the Adani issue has been wrecked up. The same points, even the reports are new. The new names have come up. Chinese national's name has come forward. But rest of the things which Hindenburg report has already mentioned have again come up. You think that the Congress is going to pull this like the last time they tried to push the Rafale issue? You think that the Adani issue is going to take a center stage in the India Alliance meeting?
I think we have to separate the two issues aside. India Alliance meeting is largely about how does the India Alliance move forward, because time is running out for them.
But they have to finalize what issues they are going to pick up.
So the issues that they are going to pick up, I think, are separate to Rahul Gandhi, who is running in a way a campaign on the issue of alleged links between Prime Minister Modi, Gautam Adani and offshore funds which are allegedly coming into the country. This report, Rahul Gandhi believes, has strengthened his case. The fact is that some of the names and details that are coming out have naturally led to speculation globally. These are huge papers, Financial Times, Guardian. So Rahul Gandhi in a way is almost, this is Rahul Gandhi's crusade as we've seen in Parliament and outside Parliament. He's determined to take this on. I don't see the other allies being as enthusiastic about taking out.
No, but the interesting point is when it came to the Delhi Ordinance Bill, all the alliance partners started talking in the same language. Whereas after this particular report, other than Aam Aadmi Party, no one has come forward and picked up this particular issue. Why Rahul Gandhi is pushing for this issue? Will this become an issue of contention within the India alliance partners? Because even the last time in 2019, the Rafale issue was not liked by most of the alliance partners. It didn't click with the people. Do you think that because Rahul Gandhi is pushing for, because it happened, the press conference was supposed to happen in the Congress office. It happened at the venue where the India alliance partners are going to have a dinner after some time. Do you think that will create a problem in future?
My sense, as I said, Sahil, I think the India alliance partners of the Congress, they want to first evolve a common agenda. They want to know how are we moving forward, coordination committee, how will we raise the issues, what is the timeline. Rahul Gandhi wants to make Adani the central issue of his agenda. Even within the Congress, not everyone is on board. Team Rahul is on board, but look at Ashok Gehlot. He's getting investments in Rajasthan.
He wrote the letter to the Chhattisgarh.
He wrote a letter to the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister is getting Adani Group on board. So I think Rahul Gandhi believes, and we've seen that in Parliament and outside, that this is the one issue that the Prime Minister is vulnerable on. I don't see or the other allies. Sharad Pawar has openly said it is wrong to target a businessman who's investing so much in India. And
But the interesting part is that the Congress people here before the press conference was telling us that he had already spoken to the alliance partners like Shiv Sena and the NCP, and they said it's fine if you can pick up this issue and have a press conference. So are they on the board on this?
I don't think they are on board. I think they have said if Rahul Gandhi chooses to raise this issue, he is welcome to do so. At the press conference, there was Rahul Gandhi and Jairam Ramesh, right? And there were a few members of what I call Team Rahul within the Congress. Many of the other Congress leaders, more importantly, many of the regional parties which have investments from the Adani Group, take West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee has investments from the Adani Group. They feel that Adani Group issue is not the central issue for them this time.
Not for the election campaign.
Not for the election campaign. They say India alliance is about how do you craft an election to fight against Mr. Modi in 2024. Rahul Gandhi believes that that fight must begin with the Adani issue. If you saw, he kept referring to G20. Right. So he's trying to say Mr. Modi must answer before the G20. So Rahul Gandhi has made his USP, this charge of cronyism within the government. The other allies believe, let's first also look at what are the other real issues, the positive agenda that we are going to take before the people. They are planning, I'm told, on a 5-point agenda, on a best of India agenda. What are the best issues we can pick up?
Okay, we're getting some breaking, Sahil and Rajdeep, apologies, we're going to come back to you in a moment. We're getting some breaking news. The latest GDP figures have just come in. GDP first quarter growth for the country stands at 7.8%. The April to June GDP growth, that's the first quarter, stands at 7.8% versus 13.1% a year ago. The growth of 8 key infrastructure sectors has risen to 8% in July 2023. Let's go straight across to India Today's Aishwarya Paliwal for more on this breaking story right now. Aishwarya, 7.8% GDP growth in quarter one. Break it down for us.
Well, Shiv, on one side, this is good. This is good because what we saw, this is an increase from the last quarter. But yes, if we do an year-to-year analysis, this definitely is less. But from what we are understanding and from what the government has been trying to do over the past many months is through the policies change this. And the government at the moment is expecting the next quarter's growth should be above 8%. That's what the government at the moment is saying. But yes, this is mixed bag. On one front we have done well, but on other parameters on consumption, definitely the economy needs a boost. Sure.
Okay. Some good news here. Thanks, Aishwarya, for getting us that 7.8% quarter one growth GDP in the country. And on the other side of this very short break, we're going to tell you how Reuters, one of the world's largest news agencies, says the Chinese President Xi Jinping is likely to skip the G20 summit in India next month.
Once again, India Today wins Best Channel of the Year.
thank you very much, viewers, for making the India Today Group the most awarded TV news network at the ENVA Awards 2023.
काम वहाँ पर दिल्ली सरकार करा रही है। कल तक तो छाती ठोक ठोक कर कह रहे थे कि हम काम करा रहे हैं, आज पल्ला झाड़ रहे हैं। सच ये है कि इनकी जो हिंदू विरोधी आस्थाएं हैं वो दिखती हैं बार बार, और इन्होंने अपने सरकारी महकमे में कह रखा है कि आपने सब वह करना है जो कि हिंदू विरोधी हो, इसलिए इस प्रकार की बात होती है। नहीं तो किसकी जरूरत दिल्ली के अंदर कि कोई शिवलिंग लगा देगा फुहारे की जगह। स्पष्ट दिखता है कि कैसी मानसिकता है आम आदमी पार्टी की।
आपने भगवान शिव की आराधना करने वाले शिवलिंग को फुवारों की तरह सड़क पर खड़ा कर दिया, तो बहुत गलत काम किया। किसने भी किया हो, पुलिस तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की केंद्र सरकार की है, एफआईआर क्यों नहीं दर्ज करा देते? धार्मिक भावनाओं को ठेस पहुंचाने के लिए, हिंदू धर्म का अपमान करने के लिए अब तक दिल्ली पुलिस ने इसके ऊपर एफआईआर क्यों नहीं दर्ज की? एफआईआर दर्ज होगी, पता चल जाएगा।
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 39 and minimum 29 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 36 and minimum 28 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 29 and minimum 24 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 25 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 32 and minimum 23 degrees.
One week ago, the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President had shaken hands and briefly interacted with each other at the BRICS summit in South Africa. Cut forward 1 week, and now Reuters, the world's largest news agency, reports that Xi Jinping, the president of China, is likely to skip the India-hosted G20 summit that's scheduled for the second week of September in India's national capital. Now, the interesting thing is, 1 week is a long time in international relations, but is it really true that Xi Jinping is not coming? Because both countries are silent on the Reuters report. Here's what we know so far.
A platform for global allies and rivals to meet. But speculations run rife over China President Xi Jinping's participation at the G20 scheduled in New Delhi. A Reuters report attributed to unnamed official sources suggests he is likely to skip the summit of the world's major economies happening in the Indian capital on September 9th and 10th. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesman had nothing to offer immediately when asked in Beijing about reports regarding President Xi not attending the G20 meeting in New Delhi. The Reuters story had anonymous sources saying China's Premier Li Chang is expected to represent Beijing at the upcoming summit. Xi's absence, if officially confirmed, would mark the first time he's missed a G20. The Russian president has already announced that he will not be travelling to New Delhi and will send his foreign minister. Meanwhile, the city decked up to receive the world leaders and other G20 delegates. New Delhi, awash in a blend of tradition and modernity.
दिल्ली को जो सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत थी वो ये कि कोई उसे संभाल ले, और वो काम हम लोगों ने किया। और जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुआ है वो इसलिए सबको अद्भुत लगता है क्योंकि इस 2 महीने के पीरियड में सैकड़ों फाउंटेन्स लगे, स्टैचूज लगी, आर्टिफैक्ट्स लगाए गए, रोड्स को क्लीन किया गया, रिपेयर किया गया, फुटपाथ्स जो टूटे हुए थे उनको रिपेयर किया गया। मैं इतना आपसे सिर्फ कह सकता हूं कि सुरक्षा के बड़े पुख्ता इंतजाम किए गए हैं। दिल्ली पुलिस पूरी तरीके से मुस्तैदी से लगी हुई है और किसी भी चांस को छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा। हर तरीके से हम तैयार हैं। बहुत सारे जो सुरक्षा के कवच हम लोगों ने बनाए हैं उनको पब्लिकली डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया जा सकता, लेकिन मैं इतना अश्योर कर सकता हूं कि यहां पर किसी भी घटना को अंजाम नहीं होने दिया जाएगा।
Not just aesthetics, security readiness also in full swing in the national capital. Police, paramilitaries, snipers, dog and bomb squads on the ground. Surveillance up in the air to ensure foolproof security for the major international event.
ली मेरिडियन होटल पर यहाँ पर एनएसजी के कमांडोज को पहले उतारा गया, फिर उसके बाद उनको यहाँ से दूसरी जगह ले जाया जा रहा है। तो इस तरीके की पूरी तैयारी इस वक्त यहाँ पर G20 के लिए किया जा रहा है। सुरक्षा के कड़े चाक चौबंद इंतजाम हो, इसके लिए पूरी तैयारियां अलग अलग जगहों पर इस वक्त की जा रही हैं। एनएसजी की जो टीमें हैं वो अलग अलग होटल्स में उनको जहां तैनात किया जा रहा है, तो वहीं दूसरी तरफ आपको बता दें कि एनएसजी के जो स्नाइपर्स हैं वो ऊंची बिल्डिंग्स पर भी उनको लगाया गया है।
India takes center stage to shape global cooperation and dialogue for a more prosperous future for all. Bureau Report, India Today.
Taking a very quick break, 6 p.m. Prime with Nabila Jamal comes up next. We've got a breaking story coming up on the special session of Parliament that's just been called. We'll also get you an update on the crucial India Alliance meeting that's kicking off today in Mumbai. That's next with Nabila.
Now, Pragyan rover has snapped the lander Vikram at the Shiv Shakti spot on the lunar surface of the moon. Now, presence of oxygen, aluminium, sulfur has also been found near the lunar south pole, while investigation is also on for the presence of hydrogen. Watch this story.
Smile, please. And with that witty caption, ISRO dropped the one picture we have all been waiting for. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the beautiful Vikram lander that made all our moon dreams come true. Standing sturdy and tall at the Shiv Shakti point on the moon, Vikram has been captured for the first time by rover Pragyan's super effective navigation cameras. Termed very fittingly as the image of the mission by the ISRO team, you can see clearly that Vikram is hard at work. No rest clearly even after touching down and making a billion dreams come true. Vikram's 3 payloads are all functioning as seen in this image. The Chaste and the ILSA are touching down on the moon's surface and conducting tests. The Chandra surface thermophysical experiment measures the temperature profile of the lunar topsoil around the South Pole to understand its thermal behavior, while the ILSA, or the Instrument of Lunar Seismic Activity, measures the seismic activity at the Shiva Shakti point. It is not just Vikram that's loaded to the T. Rover Pragyan is also conducting several experiments and has now found the presence of sulfur also.
तो उसमें जो खासकर बात बाहर आई है कि सल्फर की जो स्पेक्ट्रल लाइन है वो क्लियर दिखती है, जो पहले अन्य जगह पे उतनी क्लैरिटी से नहीं दिखती। तो वो साउथ पोल पे जो भी ज़मीन उन्होंने एनालिसिस की उसमें सल्फर का प्रेजेंस क्लियरली दिखता है। तो ये अपने एक अलग प्रकार की और एक अलग तरीके की खोज कही जाएगी जिसमें सल्फर का स्पेक्ट्रल कंपोजिशन पता लगता है।
Pragyan has moved several meters away from the lander now, as evident from these pictures released by ISRO yesterday, which showed the rover retracing his steps after coming close to a massive crater on the lunar surface. The world is absolutely stunned by all the photos and videos released by ISRO as the Chandrayaan mission is now at the halfway mark with 7 more glorious days of Pragyan's moon adventure left. Bureau Report, India Today.
LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
You're watching India Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. Let me cut across to the big news that's coming in. As sources tell us, the Modi government in the special session of the parliament is likely to bring one nation, one election bill. This bill is likely to be tabled in the parliament during the special session in the next 5 days. One nation, one election bill that the Modi government is likely to present in the parliament in the special session of the parliament. This is big news. In fact, this is the scoop coming in as sources tell us that the Modi government is likely to push the one nation, one election bill in the special session of the parliament. Let me quickly cut across to our reporters. We have Rajdeep Sardesai, we have Preeti Chaudhary joining us for more insights on that one nation, one election. Preeti, if I could ask you, what really does this signify? This is likely to be tabled by the Modi government in the upcoming special session. Break it down for us.
Well, right now, Nabila, what we are given to understand, it's source-based information that a special session which is being called right now from the 18th of September to the 22nd of September. It's a special session. Otherwise, the next session would have had to be the winter session. Now, there were indications that certain key bills will be brought out at this point of time. What's interesting is that just about a week ago, Nabila, to break it down, you had a Mamta Banerjee, you had a Nitish Kumar in June, you had a Mamta Banerjee, you've had the Congress echo the same, where the opposition parties have repeatedly said that along with the 5 states that go into elections in the winter this year, that the government could actually look at holding general elections with the 5 states. And for that, of course, an amendment need to be made. Therefore, a bill would have had to be introduced in Parliament. Now, it will feed into the fears of the opposition here because you've had the likes of, to give you an example, Mamta Banerjee said in a rally...
Hold on to your thought. Maushmi is also joining us. She has a guest with her. Maushmi, one nation, one election. If this bill is passed, it's going to be huge for the country. We believe the Modi government is mulling over passing this in the upcoming special session of the parliament in the month of September. Tell us a little more. Bring us reactions.
That's right, Nabila. As our sources, in fact, Himanshu just confirmed through our sources that the government could get that one nation, one election bill in the special session of the parliament. Let's take that reaction straight to Congress leader Sachin Sawant, who's right here with us in Mumbai. Sachin, how do you respond? Because this is not the first time we're hearing about one nation, one election. It's been one of the most pet and ambitious dreams of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to conduct the elections across the country simultaneously.
So the thing is, we do not know what exactly is there in his mind. They have been having such discussion, but the only thing we are sure that he is scared. And he knows that this India alliance is going to be a very formidable one. And there is a great possibility. And of course, we are sure that we are going to dethrone him. And that is we are really convinced about.
Nitish Kumar, Mamta Banerjee already, expressing this view that the Prime Minister and the BJP could conduct the elections in December. What is the reason behind, you think, getting this bill in the special session? Is just the fear or the confidence of the Modi government?
I really would not like to speak on this unless we get some concrete, information. But definitely, we feel that this India alliance, this is a third meeting. This is going to be the third meeting. And day by day, the alliance is getting strengthened. And people are also supporting us. We are getting larger support. And that is what is scaring him.
Thank you very much. Sachin right there, you know, the Congress leader saying that in fact it's the India alliance because of which the government is mulling over getting this bill in the special session, Nabila. Clearly, you know, politics playing out to the fullest, right? In the beginning, in the start of this entire India meet in Mumbai, you get to hear that the government could get one nation, one election bill in the parliament in the special session. So politics and power play.
Absolutely, and the reasons are, if I may try to decode what the intentions of the BJP are here, is to save time and more importantly money. I'm going to cut across to Sahil Joshi, who is with Rajdeep Sardesai, joining me live from Mumbai, where the India Bloc Alliance meeting is currently underway. Sahil and Rajdeep, this is a big move. If it's true, parliamentary sources tell us that the Modi government is now mulling over one nation, one election in a bid to save time and money. Break it down for us. What does this really mean for the upcoming 5 state elections now?
Well, this is really interesting because already in the India bloc, a lot of people, opposition parties are already predicting that there is a possibility that the Prime Minister may call early elections. The BJP is not yet confirming about that. The government has already announced that there is going to be a special session from 18th to 22nd September. We did ask this question to Rahul Gandhi as well. The Rahul Gandhi says that the government is scared and maybe because of that this session has been called and likely that there is a possibility that early elections may call. So Rajdeep is also with me. Rajdeep, the government sources are telling that they are again pushing this agenda of one nation, one election. How do you look at that? Now, the early session, you have been speaking to various alliance partners. You spoke to Mamata Banerjee. I spoke to Shiv Sena. Everybody thinks that there is a possibility that the government may move fast and go for the early elections.
Sahil, I have always believed, and I even did a video blog on this yesterday, Narendra Modi ji does not want to lose even one day in power. So as far as Mr. Modi ji is concerned, he is moving to a timetable where elections will be held on schedule March, April is what I am told. In fact, PMO officials who I have spoken to are also saying the same thing. If you recall, Prahlad Joshi in his tweet is saying, Amrit Kal को डिस्कस करना है. What are you going to discuss about Amrit Kal? This was the official tweet. Now sources are saying it is about one nation, one election. For one nation, one election, are you going to call a 5-day session in the midst of festive season when Ganesh Chaturthi is starting on the 19th, just 1 week after G20? My sense is that something does not add up. I am not sure what that is. Is it a diversion, as Jairam Ramesh is indicating, because the Adani issue has been raised today, is the government trying to divert attention from it? Or is it that the government is trying to set the agenda? After G20, Mr. Modi believes his popularity will increase further. If you have a parliament debate where people congratulate Mr. Modi on both Chandrayaan and on G20, while it is fresh in public memory, it will raise Mr. Modi's image. So there are two views, Sahil, as to why this session is called. One, to bump up Mr. Modi's image, or it is a diversion from the Adani revelations that have come out today.
Well, the BJP already has the example of the Vajpayee government. You know, they also tried to ride on the Shining India wave and it didn't materialize for them. The price rise still remains to be a major issue as we have seen in MOTN. But how does it change equation within the India partners? Because what we heard is that the Congress is not in a hurry to finalize any kind of an agenda. Congress wants to concentrate on the state elections, which the Congress will have to fight with the BJP. The India alliance partners are not going to come to their help in those assembly elections. Whereas the alliance partners have been pushing Congress that, you know, look, there is a possibility of early elections. Let's formulate our strategy right now. Don't leave us at this point of time and concentrate only on the assembly elections. Tomorrow, Uddhav Thackeray will start the session. You know, he will talk about the sense of the house inside the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Will this be also an important agenda, that there is a possibility of early elections? Let's get prepared ourselves for that. Let's talk about the seat sharing, the way Sharad Pawar was talking about a day before. How does this change equation within India?
Very good question, Sahil. My sense is, speaking to a few of the leaders of these parties like Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee believes that Mr. Modi is calling for a December election, and she therefore feels that there should be a timeline and urgency in setting the agenda for the India alliance that focus now on what are the issues that you're going to raise. On the other hand, Rahul Gandhi believes that the Adani issue is too big to be ignored. It's an issue he's been tracking. He wants to focus on it. Within the Congress, there are divergent views. So in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel and Ashok Gehlot have investments of the Adani Group in their states. They are saying we have got an election in November, December. Let's focus on state-related issues. So I think one of the challenges for this India alliance is different constituents have different priorities at the moment. Rahul Gandhi's priorities, I want to focus on Adani issue because I believe Prime Minister is vulnerable. Regional allies believe that we have to defeat Mr. Modi in 2024 for our own survival. What is the plan that we can put in place and put in place urgently? And the section of the Congress believes, let us first do well in the November-December election, then we will have more leverage within this alliance. So I think different outfits, different constituents have very different priorities at the moment.
Also, if you look at historically, the elections happening simultaneously, say Assembly election and the Lok Sabha elections, doesn't yield the same results most of the time. A lot of times this has been seen that people vote differently for the Lok Sabha and at the same time, in the another box, they vote differently for the Assembly. Does it work for the BJP? Because there were reports earlier that the BJP leaders from Maharashtra had requested that let's have the Maharashtra Assembly and the Lok Sabha elections together, which was shot down by the central leadership. So why again there is a talk about one nation, one election? It's does it going to help any which ways, or it's a different strategy altogether?
First of all, I don't think one nation, one election is going to be accepted by many of the regional parties as well. They don't want the election to be held all the time under the shadow of the BJP. So I think this is a red herring, personally. This may be a debating point, but it's not going to be accepted. Sahil, BJP also, my sense is, knows what they don't want to commit the mistake that Vajpayee committed in 2004 by bringing elections early. Right. They also recognize that they need to use power. Their timetable is in January to go ahead with the Ram Mandir inauguration, then build on that. At the moment, yes, Chandrayaan and G20 have raised the Prime Minister's profile. But, you know, a week is a long time in Indian politics. Lot can change. BJP believes that they are better equipped organizationally, resource-wise, to fight the election. The only reason why there can be an early election is that the BJP doesn't want the India alliance to have any time to organize itself. But my sense is their own internal surveys are not showing at the moment the Prime Minister so vulnerable as Mamata Banerjee and others are making it out to be. I think Mr. Modi will wait. He wants a timeline. He's preparing the ground in a way to raise various issues of public concern. One nation, one election this time. I am told he wants to raise women reservation also. And wants to slowly but surely build a kind of agenda where the opposition cannot capture the narrative. Mr. Modi wants to seize the narrative all the time. Today what has happened, because of the Adani issue, the opposition has got a talking point. So Mr. Modi will very carefully...
But that also only Congress and Rahul Gandhi specifically is talking about it. Nobody else spoke about Adani issue today here when we were trying to speak to the opposition.
I was told by a senior leader of the alliance that they now believe Mr. Modi will also bring petrol prices through excise duty cuts also. So you may well have petrol prices also being brought down ahead of the festive season. LPG prices down, petrol prices down. Mr. Modi is moving to his own narrative. The opposition at the moment, specifically Rahul Gandhi, is determined to make Adani the biggest.
Okay, lastly, quickly, because I have to toss it back. Now that after the meeting the people started arriving in Mumbai yesterday, since yesterday, what are the 3 points you think that now there will be a talking point within the India alliance partners? Is it Adani, is it the parliament session, or is it the early elections? What do you think will be the talking point?
One, I think some of them like Nitish Kumar and Mamata Banerjee will raise the fact that we need to have a timeline to work in the assumption that Mr. Modi could call a December election. So a timeline that we cannot wait anymore. One of the leaders said this political tourism has to stop. We need an agenda. Number 2, coordination committee meeting. A lot of the allies say a lot of things about each other once the meetings are over, especially at local level. Can we have a better coordination
committee, formation of
coordination? Yeah, there will definitely be an attempt made to form a coordination committee. And I am told 3 or 4 or 5 key points, messaging points that this alliance believes will make them stand out vis-a-vis the BJP. Now, these are the issues which at least the allies want to focus on. Congress wants to buy some more time. Will they be allowed by the regional allies to buy more time? I'm not so sure. I think eventually we will have a logo tomorrow unveiling, which I'm told will have a tricolor in it, and I'm told that there will be a coordination committee.
Well, very interesting that the alliance partners will now also have to think about why there is a talk about early elections. Also, why a parliament session, 5 days special parliament session, and how to strategize for the upcoming parliament session as well. Nabila.
Right. Well, Sahil, stay with us. I also have Preeti with me here. Preeti, 5 state elections, Rajasthan to be coming up, Telangana to be coming up, and a few more. As we see the excitement towards that elections has already begun. They're drumming up, their campaigns in their respective state. At this point, if a special parliamentary session passes the one nation, one
Joint
election,
session also, yes.
joint session, a one nation, one election bill in the parliament, do you think it will have consent from all political parties?
Nabila, the fact is, if you need to call early elections in India, it's not that simple as well of just passing of that bill. This will warrant a constitutional amendment. For a constitutional amendment, you need 2/3 majority in the House, and after that, it will also be need to pass by each state. So it's not as simple as it looks like. But having said that, it is a possible trial balloon that has been floated by a lot of opposition parties. But in terms of technicality of it all, because to call for early elections, it will need a constitutional amendment.
Right.
You will need 2/3 majority. You need to get it passed through each state as well. So not so simple.
It is
yes,
complicated.
it's complicated.
Let's see what happens. But Himanshu Mishra is the one. Preeti, please take over.
All right, okay, so that's the
Himanshu
latest news
Mishra
break
is with
that
us.
we're getting in. Let's cut across to my colleague Himanshu, who's breaking this news on India Today. Himanshu, जो खबर आपने अभी ब्रेक की है, आपके सूत्रों के हवाले पूरी चहल पहल मच गई है। जो इंडिया की मीटिंग हो रही थी मुंबई में, उससे अब पूरा फोकस हटकर यही बात आ रही है कि क्या चुनाव पहले होंगे, क्या ये बिल इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाएगा ज्वाइंट सेशन में, क्या कह रहे हैं आपके सूत्र?
देखिए, बिल्कुल प्रीति, मेरे जो सूत्रों का कहना है कि जो संसद का स्पेशल सत्र बुलाया गया है, उसमें वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन बिल को जो है सरकार चाहेगी कि वो पास हो जाए। अब सवाल ये है कि क्या इस पे अलग अलग दलों के राज्य सरकारें साथ आएंगी, तो वो एक बड़ा सवाल है। अगर आप उस लिहाज रखेंगे तो 5 राज्यों के विधानसभा चुनाव जो है वो नवंबर एंड में है और दिसंबर के फर्स्ट वीक तक है। उसके बाद लोकसभा चुनाव है, उसमें उड़ीसा और साथ में जो है मध्य प्रदेश के चुनाव है। 2024 के अंत में लोकसभा के तुरंत बाद जो है वो हरियाणा, महाराष्ट्र, झारखंड के चुनाव है और फिर 2025 के शुरुआत में यानी जनवरी में जो चुनाव है वो दिल्ली के है। तो ऐसे में अगर हम देखेंगे तो 14 स्टेट के जो चुनाव हैं वो अगले 1.5 साल में होने लोकसभा चुनाव के साथ। तो सरकार की ये जरूर कोशिश रहेगी कि जो है वो इस संसद के विशेष सत्र में जो है वो इस बिल को पास करा के ले जाए और जिस तरीके से पिछले समय ऑफिसर एक्ट जो बिल था उसको लेकर और बीजेडी का और अविश्वास प्रस्ताव पर बीजेडी, वाईएसआर, कांग्रेस और जो है वो टीडीपी का साथ मिला, उसके बाद सरकार को ये उम्मीद है। और मैं आपको बताऊं कि प्रधानमंत्री पहले भी ये बात राज्यसभा में कह चुके हैं। चुनाव आयोग ने सभी राजनीतिक दलों की एक बैठक बुलाई थी, उसमें भी वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन को लेकर
हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए। I'm going to quickly cut across Adi Ranjan Chaudhary, who's speaking on one nation one election proposal. Let's take a look. Let's listen in. Adi Ranjan Chaudhary speaking. All right, Adi Ranjan Chaudhary joining us on the phone line. Adi Ranjan ji, यहाँ पर one nation one election की बात चल रही है. It's likely that they're going to be passing the bill. This is what they hope, that they're going to get support from all the political parties during the special session of the parliament next month. It's likely the BJP will table one nation one election bill. Your view on that?
First of all, before expressing our view, we have to go through the contents of the bill. Now, if the government thinks so that everything is to be passed in the parliament, they have had their own brute majority. So they can always play the tyranny of majority. Because each and every issue, they can get the legislation passed according to their own whims and fancy. But it is not a matter of a little significance. It's a matter of great significance because India is a country which believes in plurality, which believes in diversity. So we cannot afford ourselves to be the centralization of all power in one go. We do not have the idea of what kind of contents the legislation is going to be proposed. So before scrutinizing the legislative document. I cannot make right at this moment any comment on it. But certainly, if government has any good intention, they may have a setback discussion of all the opposition parties before introducing the bill. Otherwise, it will be interpreted as their own eccentricity before introducing any legislation.
Right. Adil, all right, we seem to have lost his connection. I'm going to quickly cut across to Priyanka Chaturvedi, who's also reacted on the one nation, one election proposal by the Modi government. It's been the Modi government, in fact, Modi himself has been saying it quite a while now, that if we have one nation, we've got to have one election. It saves time and money.
के हवाले से खबर आ रही है, वो उसके बारे में बोलने से पहले मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि अभी हाल ही में मॉनसून सेशन खत्म हुआ है, विंटर सेशन का निर्णय होना है। ऐसी आपको क्या आपदा आ गई, ऐसी आपको क्या हड़बड़ी हुई, ऐसी क्या जल्दबाजी है कि आप एक स्पेशल सेशन बुला रहे हैं? आप स्पेशल सेशन उस दिन बुला रहे हैं जब हर घर में महाराष्ट्र में भगवान श्री गणेशा विराजमान होते हैं। पूजा पाठ संस्कृति संस्कार का हमारा विषय है। महाराष्ट्र में ही क्या, देश भर में विदेश भर में होता है। तो अगर जो आप कह रहे हैं सूत्रों के हवाले से खबर आई है वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की, तो बगैर हम राय मशवरा कर बगैर सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स से पूछकर, बगैर इलेक्शन कमीशन की रिपोर्ट लेकर, बगैर उनसे ये पूछकर कि ये पॉसिबल है या नहीं पॉसिबल है, बगैर वो सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज से पूछ करके इतना हम कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे एट द सेम टाइम, बगैर उन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पूछकर कि क्या वो सहमत है या नहीं सहमत है, बगैर चीफ मिनिस्टर्स को साथ में लेकर अगर वो ये निर्णय लेते हैं हम उसका विरोध करेंगे। ये स्पेशल सेशन दिखाता है कि एक बौखलाई हुई, तिल मिलाई हुई और अपने लास्ट, कहते हैं ना वो जो लास्ट ब्रेथ होता है एक डाइंग पेशेंट का, वो दिखा रहा है। एक तिल मिलाई हुई, घबराई हुई एंड लास्ट स्टेजेस ऑफ पावर में अपना पावर दिखाने की कोशिश करें, हम उसका विरोध करेंगे।
All right, even as there's a proposal now for a one nation, one election bill in the special session of the parliament, there have been reactions from political parties even in the past. The TMC and the JDU have already expressed that it will be Modi's move or BJP's move to hold Lok Sabha elections earlier than 2024. This was predicted. I'm going to cut across to those reactions in the past.
चुनाव तो कभी भी हो सकता है, ये कोई जरूरी है कि समय पर करावे। ये तो केंद्र वाले पहले भी करा सकते हैं।
कुछ संभावना है क्या सर? कुछ संभावना आपको लग रही है?
हम तो शुरू से न बोल रहे हैं, आपको बोलिए। हम तो आपको 7-8 महीना पहले से न कह रहे हैं कि लोग पहले भी करा सकते हैं, इसलिए सबको एकजुट होना चाहिए। तो उसी में हम लगे हुए हैं।
আমার তো এখন সন্দেহ হচ্ছে এরা ডিসেম্বরেই না পার্লামেন্ট ইলেকশন করে দেয়, জানুয়ারিতেও করে দিতে পারে, এদের কোনো বিশ্বাস নেই।
All right, the apprehensions were very clear by the opposition parties, including the JDU and TMC, who said even in the past that they predict the Modi government to come up with a one nation, one election bill very soon. I have Preeti with me joining here on the election coverage that she's done so far. Preeti, we know that India is such a dynamic country and it's so diverse. When it comes to elections, that's the real true testimony of how diverse the country is. To have it at one time, at one go, yes, it would save cost and energy, but what about the flavor of diversity in the country?
Well, you know, there are lots of arguments which are both pros and cons, but you know, Nabila, let's go back. 9 summers ago, you had the Prime Minister who actually mooted the idea of one nation, one election. We do know it's something very close to the Prime Minister's heart.
Yeah.
In terms of putting it down and making it happen, the probability of it looked too complex. But right now, if this bill is introduced, even though, yes, they will need 2/3 majority, which they don't have right now, to get a constitutional amendment in place. But having said that, what could be the pros and cons of a possible early Lok Sabha election? You know, the Prime Minister would be shining off his G20 moment.
I was just wondering, how is it really going to benefit the BJP as the opposition might say?
Well, at this point of time, the opposition really doesn't have its act together. What else do we know of India other than the name of India? Are they any which way closer to seat-sharing arrangements? No, they have no urgency. So the entire India alliance coming together right now is in complete disarray. So yes, it will suit the government very well to hold early elections because your opposition, which is now technically together, still doesn't have its act together. Number two, it's going to be, you have Prime Minister Modi shining off under the G20 moment. It's a good place to be in terms of to call early election. Also, what would be interesting is, will the government call for early elections when their big ticket moment, which is going to be the Ram Mandir moment in January, or the inauguration of it, will the Prime Minister Modi actually go ahead and prepone elections and not do it after the Ram Mandir opening, because that's their big ticket moment? That's the big question. And also something which the Prime Minister has said a lot, that they've been given a certain time to be in power. Will he let go of, even one day in power and prepone elections? It's a different concept. But, there's even indication right now because, there's so much kite flying because this is all source-based information which is coming to the fore, Nabila, that the 5 state elections which we are expecting in December could very well, if this bill goes through, be postponed to the general election time, and we look at a one nation, one election.
Precisely the buzz that we hear now is that the 5 state elections might be pushed to May.
No, we don't know any of that
This is the buzz, like I said, it's a speculation. It might be pushed to May all at once. The 5 states that are going to elections include Rajasthan, Telangana, Mizoram, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. Yeah, you have the 5 state elections that are all lined up late this year till early next year. It likely could be pushed all at once in May. But what are the challenges when you try and club elections together at once? It will cut cost, but the big challenge, or why do you think that the opposition parties might not be very happy with something like this?
Well, they've always been
But I'm speaking of state level, I'm talking about assembly elections. Yes, Lok Sabha, the opposition, united opposition isn't prepared, but locally, if they have their clout, then that will remain. What will change?
That will remain. What will change? Other than that, the biggest, I would reckon, yes, it will save costs. And, India is always considered to be a country which is always in election mode, because every other month we are going to elections in a particular state in the country. So it will cut down not just cost, but labor. It will cut down in terms of the effort that you actually put in hugely. But on the other hand, the flip side of that, Nabila, is also will it somewhere down the line not be the true test of democracy, the sheer fact that we've had so many elections as they've happened. So that all aside, but will it happen? Right now I would reckon a lot of it is political fear mongering, and the sheer fact that through our sources we've been given to understand that a bill could be introduced in the special joint session of the parliament called from the 18th to the 22nd of September has somewhere down the line heightened the fear of the opposition. The opposition says till now that they are ready to go into election any time. But are they really prepared? Not. How much of this is rhetoric? How much of this is a possibility? We don't quite know. A lot of it given to source-based information, or rather red herring, fear-mongering on what we are expecting.
Well, let me quickly cut across to Adani Chaudhary, who said what he said just moments ago, that until he sees that the draft of that bill in hand, he won't be able to comment. But I'm going to cut across to exactly Adani Chaudhary's reaction on this, the Congress MP.
See, first of all, before expressing our view, we have to go through the contents of the bill. Now, if the government thinks so that everything is to be passed in the parliament, they have had their own brute majority. So they can always play the tyranny of majority. Because each and every issue, they can get the legislation passed according to their own whims and fancy. But it is not a matter of a little significance. It's a matter of great significance, because India is a country which believes in plurality, which believes in diversity. So we cannot afford ourselves to be the centralization of all power in one go. We do not have the idea of what kind of contents the legislation is going to be proposed. before scrutinizing the legislative document, I cannot make right at this moment any comment on it.
All right, we heard what the opposition Congress MP had to say, but this is huge. One nation, one election. If that bill is passed in the special session of the parliament, it would really mean that you have assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections all happening at once in 2024, maybe even earlier than May 2024. Aishwarya is also joining us, who tracks the BJP. Aishwarya, what is the BJP really thinking? The opposition says Modi is wobbly on his knees. He's worried that the elections of 2024 might not be in their favor, which is why a move like this is made. But BJP has said it time and again, it's to save cost and save energy, save effort, deployment, all of it.
See, not just deployment, you know what the BJP time and again, Nabila, has been speaking about is the fact that a lot of money also goes, because it seems like our country, which is a fact also, our country is forever in the election mode.
Yeah.
So this is something that the BJP has been speaking about. If I tell you what the Election Commission is thinking, for the past 1.5 years, the Election Commission has been working towards it. So it's not something that the Commission does not know. They also believe that there is a lot of energy which will be saved, a lot of money which will be saved. And obviously the opposition at the moment is saying that this is being floated around because they believe that the Narendra Modi government is not ready for 2024 elections, but it will not be easy. You'll have to dissolve all the assemblies.
Yeah.
The Karnataka elections took place just a few months back. So will you dissolve?
It has to dissolve. You have to dissolve assemblies too.
Assembly elections, it's not that easy. It is not
wow,
that
wow,
easy.
that's going to be a Herculean task. But Shiv, as the BJP says, they want to cut cost and they want to cut energy and that kind of deployment that goes into facilitating the number of state of elections. 5 state elections that are currently lined up, and here you have the Modi government mulling over passing a bill which they've managed to pass. Every bill that the Modi government has passed in the House have got its nod. They've successfully managed to pass it. This bill, One Nation, One Election bill passed, will be huge for the country.
You know, this news break by Himanshu sounds extremely credible, and Himanshu is one of our best reporters, Nabila. The reasons for One Nation, One bill are the most obvious things, cost, security, the convenience, and no wastage in terms of the country's resources in election after election. As Aishwarya said, we're constantly in election mode. But like most things in India, with such a vast country that this republic is, how do you get it started? We've got so many states. What will be that starting point? Which assemblies have to be dissolved? Will the opposition states, be on board just like the BJP-ruled states will? What about the issue of autonomy? What about states that are controlled by the opposition, which will say that if all elections happen at the same time, the party in the center will have the advantage?
Yeah.
All these teething troubles are not going to be small. So this is like so many other issues. This actually reminds me of UCC also.
Absolutely.
This is going to be, the reasons, the rationale is obvious. Everyone believes that it's a good thing to do and it's the right thing to do, but it's the enforcement, implementation, modalities, layers of it that's going to be the real challenge. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Absolutely,
Will it be the real debate in that special session, or will it be Adani? We don't know.
No, but this is a 5-day special parliamentary session that has been announced. Now tell us, what was the purpose of this special parliamentary meeting to happen in the first place?
Let me tell you, this actually is $1 million question, because there are a lot of things which are floating around. We don't know for sure what exactly is the session, but we do know Himanshu has broken the story that one of the things that the government has been looking at, and it is not something that the government has been thinking for just the past 6 months. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, since 2014, has time and again been speaking about the fact that we as a country need to save our resources. A lot of time, a lot of money, and constantly being in the election mode is something which is not right for the country and also for the people. This is something that the BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, has been pushing for. Some of the opposition parties also believe that this is how it should be. The Election Commission...
Would you tell us which are the opposition parties that are on board with this idea?
Not fully on board, but they do believe, if we talk about Congress Party, if we talk about Aam Aadmi Party, then yes, they do believe that saving the cost, saving the time of the ministers, saving the time of the people is something which will help in the long run.
So you're saying AAP and Congress are okay with a one nation, one election?
There have been some talks about it.
Right.
They think that there is a possibility, but yes, not the way the BJP is now wanting to do it. Maybe just because you'll have to make constitutional changes, Nabila. It's not something which will just happen. In a jiffy, you'll have to dissolve all the assemblies. So Karnataka, what will you do? The elections were just a few months back.
Well, that's going to be really a big task at hand. But Shiv, as we see, I just heard Rajdeep say that the one reason that he could think of, the BJP will be presenting a bill of such nature, one nation, one election, is to ensure that the India bloc, the alliance partners, don't have enough time to chart out a roadmap and a strategy to fight the Modi government.
When it comes to election time, it's war. Okay, and all's fair as far as election strategy is concerned. We all know how ruthless and cutthroat things can be. And as Aishwarya said, you couldn't possibly ask for a bigger year to make such or propose such changes than 2023. 4 big state elections, Telangana, MP, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Mizoram, and then you've got the big one in 2024, just 4 or 5 months later. You club all those together, you'll have to do that with a sense of using a lot of force. How can you do it in such a short time? The journalist in me wonders whether something can be implemented so quickly. I don't think it will ever happen for the 2023 cycle of elections, but maybe thereafter. So what kind of pressure is this going to actually exert on these opposition parties or the India bloc? One doesn't actually know. What it does is put the pressure on them, gives them a sense that this is what the government wants to do, this is the direction the government is moving in, and therefore they need to get their act together and start moving fast.
You know, but I really wonder about public sentiment. When we speak of public sentiment, as a commoner, a common citizen, I would imagine that this is a fantastic idea. You go to a polling booth and you press one button for your election, for your Lok Sabha election, you press one button for your assembly election. You're done at one go, right? So as much as it sounds like a great idea, I would still wonder what happens to the beautiful diversity and its colors of our country.
I think for a country like India, which has a lot to achieve, Nabila, I think the rationale is, given the amount of money, everyone, all of us, journalists know, many people in public life know, but not many citizens know just how expensive an election is. Aishwarya covers the Election Commission. She's seen those reports that come in. It is thousands of crores of rupees, party funds, but also public money that is expended in a country that is constantly in election mode. And in this current political atmosphere, where it is do or die for every single party, every election is like basically a battle of its own. And therefore, like, I completely agree with you. In the public eye, it's going to be something that, when people hear about it, they're going to say, why aren't we doing it already? It makes such obvious sense. But it's once you go down into the devil and the details, that's when implementation is the real bugbear.
Absolutely. Stay with me, Shiv. I'm going to quickly cut across to Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Shiv Sena, who's responded and with great frustration and anger that she believes this is a ploy by the Modi government, and also that they are threatened with the clout the India bloc is gaining.
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की तो बगैर हम राय मशवरा कर बगैर सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स से पूछकर, बगैर इलेक्शन कमीशन की रिपोर्ट लेकर, बगैर उनसे ये पूछकर कि ये पॉसिबल है या नहीं पॉसिबल है, बगैर वो सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज से पूछ करके इतना हम कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे एट द सेम टाइम, बगैर उन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पूछकर कि क्या वो सहमत है या नहीं सहमत है, बगैर चीफ मिनिस्टर्स को साथ में लेकर अगर वो ये निर्णय लेते हैं हम उसका विरोध करेंगे। तिलमिलाई हुई, घबराई हुई एंड लास्ट स्टेजेस ऑफ पावर में अपना पावर दिखाने की कोशिश करें, हम उसका विरोध करेंगे।
All right, we heard the opposition parties. At least a few of them have responded. A lot more who are still confused, waiting for an official word on this. But our reporter Himanshu has given us this very important news break that one nation, one election bill is likely to be tabled by the Modi government in the upcoming special parliamentary session. Stay with us, slipping into a short break, coming back with a lot more on that.
Once again, India Today wins Best Channel of the Year.
Thank you very much, viewers, for making the India Today Group the most awarded TV news network at the ENVA Awards 2023.
इस
वक्त ली मेरिडियन होटल के पास मौजूद हूं और यहां पर सुरक्षा की तैयारियों को लेकर के पूरी यहां पर टीमें पहुंची हुई हैं। जहां आप देखिए कि जो गाड़ियां हैं जिसमें G20 लिखा हुआ है, उन गाड़ियों को यहां पर लाया गया है और ये रिहर्सल किया जा रहा है कि एयरपोर्ट से जब विदेशी मेहमान उतरेंगे तो उनको होटल तक लाने में किसी भी तरीके की दिक्कत न हो। इसको लेकर के जो सुरक्षा एजेंसियां हैं वो लगातार यहां पर प्रैक्टिस कर रही हैं। प्रैक्टिस का मकसद ये है कि इस तरीके के कदम बढ़ाए जाएं जिससे भी किसी भी विदेशी मेहमान को किसी भी तरीके की दिक्कत न हो। जो सुरक्षा है वो मल्टी लेयर सुरक्षा तैयार की गई है, जिसमें NSG के जवान के साथ साथ जो पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस के जवान हैं वो भी मौजूद रहेंगे। इसके साथ ही जो कारगेड होगा उसमें इस तरीके के एम्बुलेंस भी साथ में चलती रहेंगी और एम्बुलेंस को भी साथ में तैनात किया गया है। सुरक्षा बलों को इस तरीके से तैयार किया गया है कि वो जो विदेशी मेहमान आए उनको एयरपोर्ट से होटल तक जिस तरीके से लाया जाए उसमें किसी भी तरीके से मेहमान नवाजी या फिर उनकी सुरक्षा में किसी भी तरीके की दिक्कत न हो। इसके साथ आपको बता दें कि 23 ऐसे महत्वपूर्ण होटल दिल्ली NCR में हैं जिनको की पूरी तरीके से सुरक्षा के हिसाब से तैयार किया गया है। साथ ही NCR में भी 9 ऐसे होटल हैं जिनको की विदेशी मेहमानों के लिए सुरक्षा के लिहाज से तैयार किया गया है। मैं इस वक्त ग्राउंड जीरो पर मौजूद हूं और आपको दिखा रहा हूं पूरी सिचुएशन कि किस तरीके से कमांडोज जो हैं वो अलग अलग जगहों पर तैनात किए गए हैं और उनकी सुरक्षा विदेशी मेहमानों की कैसे होगी उसके लिए बाकायदे यहाँ कार का जो काफिला है जो उनके साथ चलेगा उसकी पूरी तैयारी इस वक्त की जा रही है।
Air quality today. In Delhi, 125. In Mumbai, 73. In Kolkata, 150. In Bangalore, 60. In Chennai, 49. In Hyderabad, 132.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Now, the war that is taking place because of the Kaveri water is escalating by the minute. Karnataka has now released 5,000 cusecs of water into Tamil Nadu. Now, the Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has said that the government was going to appeal to the top court to reduce the amount of water that they have been asked to release.
The Kaveri water war escalates. Karnataka on Wednesday released 5,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu after a directive from the Kaveri Water Regulation Committee. The committee has instructed Karnataka to provide 5,000 cusecs of water every day till September 2nd. The Siddaramaiah government, facing the anger of farmers in the state, claims it is working on reducing the quantity of water released.
ಭಾಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ವಾದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 5,000ಕ್ಕೆ 3,000 ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಕೊನೆಗೆ 5,000 ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಷ್ಟು ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೋ ಆ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ವಕೀಲರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ನಾವು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಚಿಂತನೆ ಏನಿದೆ, ವಾಸ್ತವಾಂಶ ಏನಿದೆ ತಿಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೀಮು ನಾಳೆ ಇವತ್ತು ರಾತ್ರಿನ ನಾಳೆ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆನ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ.
The BJP has slammed the Karnataka government for releasing water to Tamil Nadu.
Another 5,000 has been recommended, and if they are going to leave it, there will be no left for drinking water, and there will be no water left to Kaveri basin. This will affect the state, especially Bangalore and other townships in Kaveri area, and the farmers of Kaveri. This is a total mismanagement of Kaveri water.
Both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are unsatisfied with the Kaveri panel's decision. The Stalin government had requested 24,000 cusecs of water, but was given only 5,000 cusecs. Tamil Nadu has approached the Supreme Court to get more water from Karnataka. The court will take up Tamil Nadu's plea on Friday. Bureau Report, India Today.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 125. In Mumbai, 73. In Kolkata, 150. In Bangalore, 60. In Chennai, 49. In Hyderabad, 132.
And that's the big story that you're following. One nation, one election. Sources tell us that the Modi government is likely to table this bill in the special session of the parliament in the coming week. Let's cut across to all the reactions coming in on one nation, one election.
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की तो बगैर हम राय मशवरा कर बगैर सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स से पूछकर, बगैर इलेक्शन कमीशन की रिपोर्ट लेकर, बगैर उनसे ये पूछकर कि ये पॉसिबल है या नहीं पॉसिबल है, बगैर वो सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज से पूछ करके इतना हम कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे एट द सेम टाइम, बगैर उन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पूछकर कि क्या वो सहमत है या नहीं सहमत है, बगैर चीफ मिनिस्टर्स को साथ में लेकर अगर वो ये निर्णय लेते हैं हम उसका विरोध करेंगे। तिलमिलाई हुई, घबराई हुई एंड लास्ट स्टेजेस ऑफ पावर में अपना पावर दिखाने की कोशिश करें, हम उसका विरोध करेंगे।
All right, we heard the opposition parties aren't very happy, but this is, of course, speculation that this is likely to happen. Our strong sources tell us that this bill will be tabled next week or the week after in the parliament. Let's see what happens. We're going to continue tracking all those developments. Do stay tuned to India Today.
A superstar yet people's man. A stardom so high yet rooted. Shahrukh Khan, one name, a million emotions.
Sir, I want to hug you, please. Sir, please. Sir, please.
SRK has been ruling showbiz for over 3 decades now. But what makes him stand out from other superstars is his golden heart and humility. Yes, not just in India, but even fans across the globe go berserk with just one glimpse of SRK. The chants of his name echoes everywhere he makes his appearance, and that comes with years of kindness that he has spread over the course. Shahrukh Khan, through his NGO, Mir Foundation, works towards betterment and upliftment of the society. The superstar came forward to even help the family of Anjali Singh, the 20-year-old girl who lost her life as she was dragged under a car for several kilometers. SRK's organization donated money so that the deceased family can manage their expenses during these tough times. A source revealed, and we quote, Shahrukh Khan's Mir Foundation has donated an undisclosed amount to the family of Anjali Singh. Anjali was the sole breadwinner of the family, which includes her mother and siblings. The aid by Mir Foundation aims to help the family, especially the mother, with her health issues while providing relief to Anjali's siblings. Mir Foundation is a philanthropic foundation and is named after Shahrukh Khan's father, Mir Taj Muhammad Khan. Moreover, SRK also time and again interacts with the acid attack survivors and get to know what's going on in their lives. He even indulges in fun conversation to keep the mood light.
मैंने आपके नाम का सर आपका फोटो भी बनाया है सर अपने हाथ पर.
कहाँ पे दिखा मुझे? ये कोई और हीरो तो नहीं लग रहा, मैं ही लग रहा हूँ ना?
सर आपका नाम भी लिखा है उसने.
सोनिया, आपकी शादी हो गई?
हेलो, थैंक यू सर. जी
Congratulations, सोनिया. थोड़ा सा मेरा इंतजार कर लेती, मैं कर लेता यार.
आप आगे आए और एसिड अटैक सर्वाइवर्स के लिए एक मिसाल कायम कर रहे हैं, उनका सर्जरी करा रहे हैं. अगर आप न होते तो पता नहीं कितने सर्वाइवर्स का इलाज ना हो पाता.
What's more, even when the world went through the complete shutdown and was hit by the pandemic in 2020, SRK was one of the first few celebrities to announce a series of initiatives to help Government of India battle against the COVID-19.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Now, Pragyan rover has snapped the lander Vikram at the Shiv Shakti spot on the lunar surface of the moon. Now, presence of oxygen, aluminium, sulfur has also been found near the lunar south pole, while investigation is also on for the presence of hydrogen. Watch this story.
Smile, please. And with that witty caption, ISRO dropped the one picture we have all been waiting for. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the beautiful Vikram lander that made all our moon dreams come true. Standing sturdy and tall at the Shiv Shakti point on the moon, Vikram has been captured for the first time by rover Pragyan's super effective navigation cameras. Termed very fittingly as the image of the mission by the ISRO team, you can see clearly that Vikram is hard at work. No rest clearly even after touching down and making 1 billion dreams come true. Vikram's 3 payloads are all functioning as seen in this image. The Chaste and the Ilsa are touching down on the moon's surface and conducting tests. The Chandra's surface thermophysical experiment measures the temperature profile of the lunar topsoil around the South Pole to understand its thermal behavior, while the Ilsa, or the instrument of lunar seismic activity, measures the seismic activity at the Shiva Shakti point. It is not just Vikram that's loaded to the T. Rover Pragyan is also conducting several experiments and has now found the presence of sulfur also.
तो उसमें जो खासकर बात बाहर आई है कि सल्फर की जो स्पेक्ट्रल लाइन है वो क्लियर दिखती है, जो पहले अन्य जगह पे उतनी क्लैरिटी से नहीं दिखती। तो वो साउथ पोल पे जो भी ज़मीन उन्होंने एनालिसिस की उसमें सल्फर का प्रेजेंस क्लियरली दिखता है। तो ये अपने एक अलग प्रकार की और एक अलग तरीके की खोज कही जाएगी जिसमें सल्फर का स्पेक्ट्रल कंपोजिशन पता लगता है।
Pragyan has moved several meters away from the lander now, as evident from these pictures released by ISRO yesterday, which showed the rover retracing his steps after coming close to a massive crater on the lunar surface. The world is absolutely stunned by all the photos and videos released by ISRO, as the Chandrayaan mission is now at the halfway mark with 7 more glorious days of Pragyan's moon adventure left. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
In politics, everyone has an opinion, but I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Gandhi only on India Today.
Co-powered by Nippon India Mutual Fund. Wealth sets you free.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching Mission 2024. I'm Preeti Chaudhary, and with news coming in, source-based though, seeming to suggest that it might just be Mission 2023 as well. There is a possibility that the government could introduce One Nation, One Poll bill in the upcoming special joint session of Parliament from the 18th September to the 22nd of September. You could call this nothing short of a political earthquake. We're going to get you details. First up, taking you through the headlines. Big India Today political news cake. Quick sources say Modi government may table one nation, one election bill during special parliament session from September 18th to 22nd. Rahul Gandhi takes on Modi government over fresh allegations against the Adani Group. Rahul demands JPC probe, questions why Prime Minister Modi is silent on the issue. Top focus as well at 7 p.m. Rahul and Sonia Gandhi in Mumbai as India allies gear up for a two-day meeting in the financial capital. BJP slams opposition bloc, calls it alliance of Majboori. ISRO releases new set of Pragyan rover images. Pragyan seen rotating for a safer route as lander's camera captures rover movement. Well, this is good news. Indian economy expands at its fastest pace in a year. Growth rate clocks in at 7.8% in April-June, beats China by a large margin. Suspense over whether China will attend the upcoming G20 summit, with news agency Reuters claiming Xi Jinping deputy will attend instead. India and China yet to confirm Xi's absence. More big changes to X. Elon Musk announces videos and audio calls as latest X feature. Musk says no phone numbers required for X calls. All right, the big scoop coming in on the joint parliament session. Crucial bills to be introduced in the special session. Sources say one nation, one law bill also to be tabled. Sources also insist women's reservation bill to be tabled as well, which has been hanging fire for decades now. Parliament special session from 18th to the 22nd of September. It's all set to be explosive now. 3 bills that could be tectonic when it comes down to India's political, social narrative. Number one, the government is mulling to introduce the One Nation, One Poll bill. That would mean that all elections will take place simultaneously. However, that would require a constitutional amendment, not just as easy as introducing a bill, but the big scoop also coming in that the government is contemplating to introduce the Women Reservation Bill as well as the UCC, One Nation, One Law Bill. Quickly cutting across for this news break to my colleague Himanshu joining us. Himanshu, 3 बिल जो अगर कह सकते हैं इंडिया का पॉलिटिकल सोशल नैरेटिव बदल सकते हैं।
देखिए बिल्कुल ये बिल जो है बिल्कुल पॉलिटिकल नैरेटिव जो है सरकार का वो बदल सकते हैं और इन बिल के आधारों पर ही जो है 2024 में क्या मुख्य एजेंडे रहेंगे ये तय हो जाएगा और विपक्ष जिस तरीके से एकजुट हुआ है उसकी काट के लिए सरकार की तरफ से ये 2 बिल लाए जा सकते हैं। एक वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, दूसरा वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल। प्रीति, जो वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल है 2009 में यूपीए सरकार लेके आई थी, राज्यसभा में ये बिल पास हुआ था। तब तमाम कई दलों ने उसका विरोध किया था जिसमें आरजेडी के विधायक थे, जेडीयू के विधायक थे, एलजेपी के साबिर अली ने विरोध किया था। तमाम लोगों ने विरोध जरूर किया था लेकिन तब भी ये बिल पास हुआ था। लेकिन लोकसभा में खुद कांग्रेस के कई सांसद इस बिल के विरोध में थे और राज्यसभा के अंदर और बीजेपी के भी कई सांसद जो हैं उस वक्त इस बिल के विरोध में थे। तब इस बिल को लोकसभा में नहीं लाया गया था और उसके बाद से ये बिल जो है अलाइव जरूर है, लेकिन भी सरकार ने, चाहे वो यूपीए की सरकार हो या पीएम मोदी की, ये दोनों बिलों को जो है वो कभी भी नहीं लेके आई। लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी कई फॉर्म से ये बात बोल चुके हैं कि वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन जो है वो होना चाहिए और इसको लेकर खुद चुनाव आयोग ने भी बैठक बुलाई थी, ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग्स, जिसके अंदर ये कहा था कि सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ को इस पर जो है वो ध्यान देना चाहिए कि किसी तरीके से जो है वो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन होना चाहिए जिससे जो है देश का जो समय है वो बर्बाद ना हो और देश जो है वो एक साथ आगे रहे। और सभी असेंबली इलेक्शंस के कारण कई बार जो होता है देश का विकास रुक जाता है। इससे विकास जो है, विकास की गति जो है वो स्लो नहीं पड़ेगी, विकास की गति एक साथ होगी। क्योंकि देश में कई बार ऐसा होता है कि एक साथ देश में कई 5 राज्यों के चुनाव होते हैं, कई 2 राज्यों के अलग अलग समय में चुनाव चलते रहते हैं।
एक साल में 2 या 3 बार ऐसा होता है मौका जब चुनावी मौसम होता है, तो उससे देश के विकास की गति धीमी पड़ जाती है, देश के जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो डाइवर्ट किए जाते हैं। तो ऐसा मानना था प्रधानमंत्री का, और प्रधानमंत्री ने ये बात खुद पार्टी के फोरम पे भी, राज्यसभा में भी ये बात कही थी, और इलेक्शन कमीशन ने भी इसको लेकर ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग बुलाई थी। सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की इस पर राय जानने की कोशिश भी की थी।
बहुत शुक्रिया हिमांशु कि आप हमसे जुड़े। आई कैन ऑल्सो से 9 summers ago the Prime Minister had reiterated on one nation, one poll, but is it going to be just as easy as introducing a bill? Quite not. We're going to break it down. But first, I want to also take you to the other story that we're tracking very closely right here on India Today. All right, we're going to get our viewers more, but the latest that we're also getting in a fresh set of allegations against the Adani Group of companies. The Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project has said that millions of dollars have been invested in some publicly traded stocks of the Adani Group through opaque Mauritius funds. While the Adani Group has rejected all allegations and called the report a concerted bid by Soros-funded interests supported by a section of the foreign media to revive the meritless Hindenburg report. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi in Mumbai, where he is to attend the India meet in Mumbai, took on the government, took on the Prime Minister over the fresh round of Adani allegations. Rahul raised the Financial Times report demanding a JPC probe against Adani, claiming over $1 billion were taken out of India, circulating outside and brought back to the country. Rahul also demanded that the Prime Minister break his silence and investigate Adani.
That money to capture Indian assets, at the very least, the question of course is, why is this one gentleman who is close to the Prime Minister of India allowed to move $1 billion to pump up his share price, to use that money to capture Indian assets, airports, ports? Why is there no investigation taking place? It's very important that the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, clears his name and categorically explains what is going on. At the very least, a JPC should be allowed and a thorough investigation should take place. I don't understand why the Prime Minister is not forcing an investigation. Why is he quiet? Why doesn't he say that he is going to make sure that this issue is investigated and the people who are responsible are put behind bars? This is raising a very serious question on the Indian Prime Minister just before leaders of the G20 are coming here, are going to be our guests, and they're going to be asking the question, what is this special company? This company that is owned by a gentleman close to the Prime Minister, why is it that in an economy like India, this gentleman is being given a free ride?
Studio with me is Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Editor, Business Today Television. Siddharth, will you, for our viewers, break down the fresh round of allegations that have just come up where the Adani Group is concerned, and how different or similar are they to the Hindenburg report?
Well, 8 months ago, the Hindenburg report was massive. It led to a at its peak, $100 billion erosion in the market cap of the Adani stocks. This, in comparison, focuses on 2 individuals and 2 entities which are accused to have acted in concert in some ways with the Adani Group, the promoter group, and purchased shares of Adani Group companies via overseas offshore entities. And the 2 individuals who have been named are said to be acting in concert with Vinod Adani, who resides overseas. The sum of money that is alleged to have been invested at its peak, one of the numbers is $430 million, but this is around 2016-17. And the allegation is that money was in some ways linked to the Adani empire, was reinvested in Adani companies, and the allegation therefore is that it is illegal and amounts to stock manipulation. There's one clear thing, as far as the report of this entity OCCRP is concerned, that report does not provide any details and says there is no evidence that this money actually came from the promoter group, because that is the crux of any allegation, but it shows and claims that it has documents which show that they acted in concert in a coordinated manner with the Adani promoter group. I think if you were to compare it to Hindenburg, it takes one or 2 points, especially the point of foreign entities and what they have done. And I must remind our viewers at this stage that the market regulator SEBI has told the Supreme Court that it is still awaiting information from 5 nations, tax havens as they are described, with regard to almost a dozen entities to determine who was the actual economic owner, beneficial owner of those entities. So that information is not available with the Indian regulator or the Indian Supreme Court, and therefore these allegations add to that particular aspect a bit more. Preeti.
Right. Siddharth, just very quickly, I'll come to you on this once again before I let you go. So right now, is there a clear money trail which we were speaking of? Number one. Number two, what does Adani Group have to say in all of this?
Well, the whole thing would depend on whether if this were to be a violation of the law, if these 2 people, one of whom is actually a Taiwanese national and not a Chinese national, whether they acted on behalf of the Adani promoters. The Adani Group has come out with a strong statement. It is calling all these allegations recycled, and they say that these have already been discounted, are old sort of repackaged allegations which have not been found to be true. So we'll obviously have to wait for how this pans out. Remember, the Supreme Court is still seized of the matter, and we will get to know more once further hearings take place.
All right, Siddharth, appreciate you joining us. Thank you there. Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Editor, Business Today Television, breaking it down on what is this fresh round of investigative journalism that has seemed to have unearthed another big or an investigative piece when it comes down to Adani. Hindenburg 2.0 is what we're calling it here. All right, with that, I want to quickly move on to the big story that we've been tracking so very closely, which broke right here on India Today First. The big scoop on the Parliament joint session, which is being called. Crucial bills will be introduced and considered in the special joint session. Sources suggest One Nation, One Law bill also likely, Women Reservation bill also to be tabled. But most important of it all is what everyone has their eyes turned on, which is, will the government go ahead? And sources insist that the government right now will go ahead and introduce the One Nation, One Poll bill in the joint session of the Parliament. I want to cut across to get a larger picture and understanding, because this will require a constitutional amendment. I want to quickly bring in the top constitutional expert of the country, PDT Achari, who's joining us live on this big news break. Mr. PDT Achari, sir, appreciate you joining us. What is coming, sir, source-based though, that seem to suggest that the government is mulling to table a bill which is One Nation, One Poll. What could be in terms of the constitutional amendment, or what would it take to actually go ahead with a bill like that?
See, I feel that there is no constitutional amendment required, actually, if you look at it from the legal point of view, because Constitution says that every assembly has a period of 5 years unless sooner dissolved. Unless sooner dissolved. That means it can be dissolved at any time before the expiry of its term of 5 years. That is already provided for in the Constitution. Now, how will you go about it? If you want to introduce One Nation, One Poll, there is simultaneous elections, which they have been sort of discussing for quite some time. Now the question is, an assembly which has been elected only recently, maybe half a dozen assemblies which have been elected recently.
Like Karnataka, sir? The last election, yes. Go ahead, sir.
They have to go for 5 years. They have to be there in office for 5 years. Of course, the provision is that unless sooner dissolved. Now, there should be, what is the process of dissolution of a house? The government recommends dissolution of the house to the governor. And the governor accepts it and dissolves the house. That is the process. The same thing happens to Parliament also, I mean the Lok Sabha. Now, the question is, if a state is ruled by a party which is other than the ruling party at the center, and if from here the Home Ministry asks a particular state to dissolve their assembly so that we can move together and we can hold simultaneous elections, suppose they don't accept it. They don't accept it. It is up to them. Parliament cannot, I mean, the union government can intervene only through the instrumentality of Article 356. But invocation of 356 can be done only when a certain conditions exist. That means there is a breakdown of the constitutional machinery in a particular state. Only then the center can intervene and dissolve the assembly, not otherwise. At other times, resolution can take place only on the advice of the state cabinet. And that becomes a very difficult thing. Suppose they don't accept it, the request from the Senate. Now, what law can be made? Here, the constitutional provisions are very clear. And the procedure that is resorted to in dissolving a house is very clear. These are all set laws. This legal position is all very set and it is well understood. So what kind of constitutional amendment and what kind of bill, ordinary bill, can be brought about to bring about to conduct simultaneous polls in all the states and the parliament? Now, if a state is dissolved by the president using his power under Article 356, naturally that will be challenged in the Supreme Court. And there are cases where the Supreme Court had struck down the decision and restored the assembly. So that precedent is also there. So it's a very complicated kind of situation. I do not know. In fact, it's not very clear to me how the government wants to go about it and what kind of a law can be brought about it to achieve this object.
Sir, you know, 2/3 majority is needed for a bill to be cleared. Now, if the bill is cleared, then what? Because what you've told us is a very, very complicated procedure up ahead.
Well, a constitution amendment has to be passed by both the houses with actually a majority of the total membership of the house and 2/3 of the members present and voting. These are the two conditions which need to be fulfilled. And if these two conditions are fulfilled by each house, then the bill is through. Once the bill is through, there are certain areas where the amendment touches those areas. Then, of course, it has to be ratified by half the number of the states in the country. Only after that, it can be presented to the president for his assent. So that is the constitutional provision. Article 368 makes it very clear. It lays down the procedure for amending the constitution. That is the thing.
But sir, right, go ahead, sir.
It's not actually very clear at this stage what kind of law the government wants to bring to make it possible for conducting the election simultaneously. In fact, this is not something new. This used to be the case in the 50s. All the elections used to be conducted together, simultaneously, with Parliament and the Assembly. But later in the 60s, towards the end of the 60s, the Parliament had to be dissolved first, before the term expired. And then the whole pattern changed. Then there was the kind of disturbance of political instability in the states, and assemblies had to be dissolved earlier and all that. So the entire pattern had to change. And then the elections were held to the assemblies at different times and to the Lok Sabha at different times, and that kind of thing happened. So it used to be done in the 50s. But at this moment, it is very difficult to bring about that kind of a situation or that kind of a simultaneous hold.
Right, sir, and especially in states which are not government ruled right now, in terms of BJP ruled right now, those states will not agree to dissolve their assemblies, like the state of Himachal Pradesh and Karnataka, which went to elections this year.
And the center can intervene only through 356. But 356 can be imposed only when certain conditions exist. That is, when there is a breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state. Only then the center can intervene. Otherwise, no. So the assembly can be dissolved only on the advice of the Council of Ministers of the state. That the chief minister and his cabinet has to recommend to the governor that the assembly may be dissolved.
Right, sir. So very, very complex. But thank you for breaking it down. Appreciate you joining us and giving us your time, PDT Achari. With that, I'm going to go into a quick break with what the constitutional expert just told us very clearly. It's a very, very complex process, especially when it comes down to states which are not BJP run. So even if the government might want to introduce a bill after its clearance, then what? A quick break. Stay with us. We're going to take the conversation further and to the point.
Again, India Today wins Best Channel of the Year.
Thank you very much, viewers, for making the India Today Group the most awarded TV news network at the ENBA Awards 2023.
एक तरफ तो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी और उनकी पूरी मिनिस्ट्री और पूरा आम आदमी पार्टी क्रेडिट लेने की होड़ सी लग गई है कि देखिए पूरे देश के दिल्ली के अंदर जो ब्यूटिफिकेशन हो रहा है वो आम आदमी पार्टी करवा रही है। लेकिन आज जब वो जो फुआरे लगे हैं उसमें एक शिवलिंग का जो वो आकार सा लग रहा है उस पर अगर सवाल उठ रहे हैं तो ये आम आदमी पार्टी बताएगी ना, क्योंकि पीडब्ल्यूडी ने वो, जहाँ तक हमारी जानकारी है, पीडब्ल्यूडी ने वो फुआरे लगवाए हैं। तो डिपार्टमेंट जो है वो तो अरविंद केजरीवाल के अंडर में, जो पूरे दिल्ली का क्रेडिट वो ले रहे हैं, ब्यूटिफिकेशन का क्रेडिट ले रहे हैं, तो ये इसका भी क्रेडिट वो लेंगे या नहीं लेंगे?
It is never too late to chase your dream. Anil Kumar Mishra took to art late in his life, but what started as a hobby has become a passion over the years. The 70-year-old from Ramnagar in Jharkhand spends his time giving new life to waste wood.
मैं समझता हूँ कि ये कोई ईश्वरीय देन है, जो शक्ति है, जो मुझे प्रेरणा देता है और मैं इसको कार्य रूप में परिणत कर पाता हूँ।
Mishra's tryst with art started in 2007 when he was a school teacher.
गाछ है बहुत पुराना, हजारों साल पुराना गाछ है जिसमें बहुत सारे दीमक खाए हुए हैं, बहुत टिड्डा रहते हैं सर, और उसी गाछ का टुकड़ा से एक प्रेरणा जगी हमको, और उसी गाछ के टुकड़ा से मैं एक बर्ड का भाव आया और मैं उसमें क्रिएशन का शुरुआत वहीं से हुई।
In the beginning, not everyone was his fan.
तो मुझे तो काफी बुरा लगता था, कभी कोई लड़ाई झगड़ा हो ही जाता था कि पुराना लकड़ी क्यों लेके आ रहे हैं। लकड़ी लाके जब इकट्ठा करना शुरू किए तो थोड़ा हो जाता था झगड़ा। जब बनाना शुरू किए तो जब पूरा बनने लगा तब बन के फिर बहुत अच्छा लगने लगा। अब तो खैर जान गए तो अब कोई बात नहीं।
Now his family and friends bring the raw materials for him.
सपोर्ट मुझे वो अगर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कुछ मिलता तो मैं और इसको आगे बढ़ा सकता हूँ।
Mishra has won many prizes for his art. He has created more than 1,000 sculptures. With Rajesh Verma in Ramgarh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
I want to bring you this ground report of Naya Kashmir.
Probably the most glamorous slap in the face of Kashmir's hypocrite brigade. Those who continue to lament the abrogation of Article 370 and Kashmir's journey to normalcy, peace and prosperity. Say hello to Miss World Carolina Belesqua. The beauty pageant winner spent all of Monday in Kashmir. Accompanied by Miss India World Sini Shetty, Carolina enjoyed a traditional Kashmiri meal and did what all tourists love most about Srinagar, a shikara ride in the beautiful Dal Lake.
But what we've seen today was really blowing our minds. The beautiful lake, we took a ride on the boats, we see the colorful garden, and everyone welcomed us so nicely, so warmly, that I cannot wait to welcome 140 nations and all my friends and family, to bring them here to India and to show places like Kashmir.
Images of a beauty pageant winner enjoying her day in Kashmir explode with meaning. Jammu and Kashmir, one of the most beautiful places in the world, used to be a tourist hotspot for decades. Following the abrogation of Article 370, Jammu and Kashmir has seen an incredible surge in tourism, beating all previous records and setting Kashmir on a path of peace and profits for its people. And now, even though legacy netas continue to decry their loss of a narrative, leave it to Miss World to expose the frustrated old Kashmir Brigade, whose presence in Srinagar has sent out a message to the whole world that Kashmir is peaceful and open for business. Let's see how Mehbooba Mufti and her generation of politicians spin this one. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Parliament joint session from September 18th to September 22nd. Modi government may bring One Nation, One Poll bill. Early Lok Sabha elections in the offing. After India voiced early election theory.
আমার তো এখন সন্দেহ হচ্ছে এরা ডিসেম্বরেই না পার্লামেন্ট ইলেকশন করে দেয়, জানুয়ারিতেও করে দিতে পারে, এদের কোনো বিশ্বাস নেই।
चुनाव तो कभी भी हो सकता है, ये कोई जरूरी है कि समय पर करावे, ये तो केंद्र वाले पहले भी करा सकते हैं।
कुछ संभावना है क्या सर? कुछ संभावना आपको लग रही है?
शुरू से न बोल रहे हैं, आपको बोलिए।
Political fear mongering or real intent? Will Lok Sabha elections be preponed? Top focus 7 p.m. on India Today.
All right, so lots of news today. Number one, there was an expose on Adani Hindenburg 2.0. Rahul Gandhi held a press conference a short while ago. It's also the 2 days where the India Alliance is meeting in Mumbai, their third meeting. So there was lots of news. But then one news came and overpowered everything. It was a tectonic news break which could possibly change the political narrative of the country. That the government, in the special joint session that it's called of Parliament from the 18th to the 22nd of September, is actually mulling to table One Nation, One Poll bill. Is it a possibility or red herring? Well, we just had the constitutional expert on the network, PDT Achari, who said it's very, very difficult to even engineer something like that. But away from that, let's take it to our political analyst this evening. Joining me, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, Sandeep Shastri, national coordinator, Lokniti Network, Rajdeep Sardesai, consulting editor, India Today. Let's cut across to Rashid Kidwai first. Rashid Kidwai, just about a week ago, you had the India Alliance partners one by one come and make noises of the fact there could be, political fear-mongering at its best, could be early elections. And then now, today, news breaks that the government is actually mulling to table the One Nation, One Poll bill in Parliament. What are your views, Rashid Kidwai?
I think pretty on the face of it, this move looks to be, the India-centric, India Alliance-centric, because the India Alliance has come up in a big way and trying to have a one-to-one contest, one-on-one contest over 400 seats. I think the BJP is trying to do something extraordinary. Now, if you look at constitutionally or politically, this one nation, one poll, they don't solve the problem. How do you dissolve governments like, Delhi or Punjab or Bengal governments or Karnataka for that matter? You can only dissolve where assembly elections are due within 6 months, before or after, Lok Sabha elections. And moreover, Preeti, you cannot, defer. For instance, Madhya Pradesh Assembly has to be constituted by, 10th of December 2023. So you cannot just defer it for another 6 months or so. So I think, and the people are going to go to court, and it's a constitutional provision. The BJP has to muster majority in the Rajya Sabha, which it doesn't have on the face of it. And most important, Preeti, politically, how do you, draw a dividend? We have seen in Odisha, voters giving a mandate to a particular party in assembly and different to in the Lok Sabha election. We have seen this happening in Delhi also, that within 6 months, people give very different verdict. And in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan also. So I think, Mr. Modi would be thinking, to my mind, would be thinking something different than, with something which is high on, symbolically or politically, and more importantly, a legislation that you can bring and you can, reap some kind of political dividend within 6 months' time. Something like that, to my mind, is the objective of the special session.
Well, very interesting, because right after, when news came, source-based at that the government is mulling to table the One Nation, One Poll bill. Also, the UCC bill, One Nation, One Law bill could be tabled, as well as Women Reservation bill. Rajdeep, at least, whatever the source-based information is, looking to, aiming to change the political, social narrative of the country. But having said that, real possibility doesn't seem so. We spoke to a constitutional expert. Right now, seemingly red herring.
Yes, that's my sense. One nation, one election
is extremely difficult to pass through with a 2/3 majority, a constitutional amendment required in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and 50% of the state assemblies have to also support it. Remember, most of the regional parties would not be inclined to support a bill like this, including a few of the BJP allies, as well as the fence-sitting parties like the Biju Janata Dal and the YSRCP. So my sense is, yes, it's a talking point, but I don't see that to be the real issue which the government is pushing. I expect this government, with Mr. Modi, expect the unexpected. Who knows what he does within the next 15 days? I spoke to someone who said women's reservation is something he's seriously thinking about, because that then is the kind of legislative agenda that might be very attractive to the woman's voter and enable you to once again capture the narrative. Look, Mr. Modi is about setting the narrative. He doesn't like the opposition to set the narrative. This morning with the Adani issue, the Congress going on the offensive, targeting Prime Minister Modi ahead of the India Alliance meeting here, you sense that this was going to be the big agenda. So then you have the Prime Minister's office or the government and Prahlad Joshi saying, look, we are bringing in a special session, leads to speculation of an early election. Mr. Modi tries to once again capture in a way the narrative. So a lot of this may be about capturing the narrative. It's also about, in a way, trying to, in the backdrop of Chandrayaan and G20 having a session like this, where certainly the treasury benches will be full of praise for the Prime Minister, once again trying to sort of make Modi out to be a larger than life figure. So I sense that this is, in a way, either agenda setting or a diversionary tactic, whichever way, whichever side of the divide you are. The opposition sees it as a diversionary tactic. The BJP will see it as the Prime Minister setting the agenda.
Rajdeep, you know, you're at the India meet today. Third time meeting in Mumbai. Now, it was the opposition itself just about 4 days ago. Mamata Banerjee, before that, Nitish Kumar, even the Congress chipped in, where they floated the bogey or a trial balloon of sorts, where they suggested that the government is looking at early elections this year. What do they have to say today after this news break?
You know, it's very interesting. The likes of Mamata Banerjee are convinced that the Prime Minister is going in for an early election in December. So she at this meeting is going to convey a sense of urgency, that you can't just simply go from one city to the other. You need to now set the agenda, get your act together, be in a position to at least have 3 or 4 talking points of your own. So she's going to raise that today. In fact, her suggestion, I am told, to this alliance meeting is on October 2nd. That's 32 days from today. We should all be coming together. All the opposition parties should come together and announce their plan of action. That's what she is suggesting. Now, we don't know whether the Congress will agree to that timetable. The Congress seems more intent on slowing things down, working to their own schedule. They've got their own issues, like Rahul Gandhi raising the Adani issue at a separate press conference today. The Congress would prefer to first focus on the winter election, November, December. Congress doesn't seem as convinced as the regional parties are that Mr. Modi is going in for an early election. But certainly a sense of urgency will creep into some of the discussions that will take place between today and tomorrow.
All right, but Rajdeep, you know, for somebody who's covered parliament and politics, what's your hunch in all of this? Why is it that the government has called for a special joint session, that too, which I'm sure a lot of your Maharashtrian parties are not happy with, bang in the middle of Ganesh Chaturthi?
Look, that's already been raised by the Shiv Sena, that you can't have a special session bang in the middle of Ganesh Chaturthi. But be that as it may, with Narendra Modi ji, you don't know what comes next. We've seen it in the past with demonetization, for example. Catch your opponents by surprise has been his politics. But his politics has also been, don't even leave a single day of power. Because while you're in power, you have the instruments of power to build your own image or to set the agenda. Remember, the general expectation is in January there'll be the inauguration of the Ram Mandir. I don't think Mr. Modi is in fast-forward mode. What Mr. Modi is about is setting the narrative. 2 days ago, LPG prices cut by rupees 200. There's much talk that petrol and diesel prices, there will also be duty cuts. Mr. Modi wants to, in a way, take away every issue that the opposition may have before they get their act together. And then decide, do I want to go in for a snap poll in December or do I want to wait till March, April? My own sense is he will wait till March, April, knowing Mr. Modi. He doesn't. His history suggests the only time that he's preponed an election was 2002 when he went 6 months earlier in the backdrop of the Gujarat riots. Apart from that, Mr. Modi's politics has been kursi pe baithe ho, take every advantage of being on the chair, use your power to in a way set the agenda, to set the political narrative.
Rajdeep, I'll take you for a quick question before we let you go. I know you have to leave, but the fact is, with all these political developments, it might just be political posturing or fear-mongering at a level, but the sheer fact that there could be a bill of one poll, one nation, or the other, bills that are being spoken of. Is there now a sense of urgency that is set in, especially in the Congress of the India Alliance, because other political parties are reading the writing on the wall way quicker than the Congress?
Absolutely, Preeti. I think the regional parties are often far more nimble than the Congresses. You see, the Congress has Rahul Gandhi, who wants to continue to hit the government with the Adani revelations. He believes that's Mr. Modi's vulnerability. He will continue to focus on that. Other Congress leaders, where is Ashok Gehlot? Where is Bhupesh Baghel? They are more worried about their state's election that coming up in 2-3 months. They've got Adani investments in their state. Regional party leaders are much more worried about the next election. The Congress is looking at this as first, let's tackle November, December in terms of taking on the BJP, giving the grand agenda that Rahul Gandhi wants to set, and then see what happens post-December. So I think the Congress is willing to bide its time. The regional parties are itching now for this India alliance to forge some kind of an understanding on the ground that will eventually result in them fighting together. One of their leaders told me, look, the public out there is not certain as yet whether we will actually stay the course. We need to send out that firm message through thick and thin. We will stand together. We also need to in some way have talking points of our own that go beyond just anti-Modism. So I think there's a recognition of all this. Is that same recognition there within the Congress as it is within these allies? I'm not so sure.
All right, appreciate you joining us, Rajdeep. Thank you for joining us. We're going to keep coming back to you for more updates. But I'll take that question to you, Sandeep Shastri. It was an explosive news day today, but then, like I said, you got the mother of all news breaks, which seem to suggest government mulling one nation, one poll. Most constitutional experts, Sandeep Shastri, clearly seem to suggest it can't happen. Way too difficult under the current constitutional setup.
Preeti, what is difficult has never stopped this government from taking the initiative. And this has been something they have been speaking on for some time, of one nation, one poll. Yes, there are huge question marks in trying to bring it in. What I think would happen is, like in the case of the Common Civil Code, Uniform Civil Code, they will put it on the agenda and allow it to go into an issue in the election. And they believe that they would have an upper hand in terms of projecting that we want to do this for the country and this is our aim. I think if they bring it as part of a issue before Parliament, it's not so much to pass it, but it is more to keep it as an agenda item for discussion so that they could make it an important part of their election campaign, so that they could make it an important part of their manifesto. So I think for them, the journey of that, be it Uniform Civil Code, be it this, the journey would be more important than actually reaching the ultimate destination.
Important point. Rashid Kidwai, Sandeep Shastri making an important point, because you can still set the narrative without going all the way.
Preeti, this has been a two-term government. The government claims that it has done wonderfully well. All kind of achievements are there. If it is not sure-footed about its last leg of it 6 months and wants to set look for more fresh initiatives, as they say, ad used to say, "Kuch tufani ho jaye," kuch you do something drastic, do something earth-shattering, do something shocking. I mean, it tells you a degree of nervousness this government is has. It's not sure-footed, and it all these things, whatever it's said about India, that whatever you say in India, the opposite is equally true, and the same applies to politics. So what I'm saying is, how all these things are going to play out, we do not know. Women reservation bill, universal scheme, all kind of thing. But my question would be why it was not done, and if just bringing it on the table, I don't think the people are going to go for it in a way that Mr. Shastri thinks it will go out. So there is a lot of ifs and buts are there. To my mind, all these things show a degree of nervousness.
You know, Sandeep Shastri, we are playing numbers of our Mood of the Nation poll, and one big chunk of the numbers with the question is, if Lok Sabha elections were to be held today, which way will India vote? Clearly seem to favor none else but this government, in the incumbent government, with an overwhelming majority of sorts.
As you rightly said, and as we have been rightly saying after seeing the Mood of the Nation poll and similar polls, as of today, I think there is no doubt that the NDA seems to have an advantage when you are talking of a Lok Sabha election. But then given my experience of what happened in 2019, it's important to believe that 6, 7, 8, 9 months is a long time in politics, and what is today is a clear advantage, it looks to be, for the NDA. But as you go closer to the poll, it will be interesting to see what would be the new issues that come up. Will there be certain developments on the ground which will dramatically change the narrative of the election? So I think that is something we would need to watch and see. But if the current trend continues, I think you do see the ruling party having a distinct advantage.
And Rashid Kidwai, do you see that feed into the fear of, what the opposition, at least from the outside, looks like bluster when they say they are prepared for elections, even if it happens alongside the 5-state elections this winter?
Yes, I think so. You see, you look at the India Alliance, it's the composition of many regional parties, fully out the Congress and the rest of them all regional parties. So they are fairly prepared and they can fight elections. So it's the Congress story that needs to be, sorted out or resolved. I think, Preeti, this vote percentage, you were saying a very quick point of 43 and 45% difference. See, the 2%, you must also factor in, Preeti, there are about 40 or 50 BJP MPs who had won by margin of over 3 lakh votes or so. So if you look at it in real terms, the BJP NDA is in real danger of losing many seats if you go by these numbers. So that is what I'm saying. They want to do something that will, be high on optics, and that will give us some kind of, euphoria for the 2024 elections. I don't think the government is going to prepone elections or have the simultaneous elections. They are just going to do things that are, would look good on optics.
All right, so the government is only going to do things which is going to look good on optics. Rashid Kidwai, Sandeep Shastri, appreciate you both for joining us. We are going to, of course, keep a keen eye on all developments and reactions as they filter in. But like I said, big news break could possibly change the political social narrative. The government, at least source-based, it's all source-based, there's no confirmation. But what there was a confirmation is that the government has called for a special joint session of the parliament from the 18th of September to the 22nd of September. So clearly the government has something planned. Now what it is, we don't quite know, but our sources tell us that 3 key bills could be tabled. One of them, One Nation, One Poll. The other, Women Reservation Bill, which has been hanging fire for decades. And the third could very well be One Nation, One Law. Will it happen? We'll keep you posted. Thank you for joining us. We're going to continue the conversation on the other side with Rahul Gandhi.
काम वहाँ पर दिल्ली सरकार करा रही है। कल तक तो छाती ठोक ठोक कर कह रहे थे कि हम काम करा रहे हैं, आज पल्ला झाड़ रहे हैं। सच ये है कि इनकी जो हिंदू विरोधी आस्थाएं हैं वो दिखती हैं बार बार, और इन्होंने अपने सरकारी महकमे में कह रखा है कि आपने सब वह करना है जो कि हिंदू विरोधी हो, इसलिए इस प्रकार की बात होती है। नहीं तो किसकी जरूरत दिल्ली के अंदर कि कोई शिवलिंग लगा देगा फुहारे की जगह। स्पष्ट दिखता है कि कैसी मानसिकता है आम आदमी पार्टी की।
जी, आपने भगवान शिव की आराधना करने वाले शिवलिंग को फुवारों की तरह सड़क पर खड़ा कर दिया, तो बहुत गलत काम किया। किसने भी किया हो, पुलिस तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की केंद्र सरकार की है, एफआईआर क्यों नहीं दर्ज करा देते? धार्मिक भावनाओं को ठेस पहुंचाने के लिए, हिंदू धर्म का अपमान करने के लिए अब तक दिल्ली पुलिस ने इसके ऊपर एफआईआर क्यों नहीं दर्ज की? एफआईआर दर्ज होगी, पता चल जाएगा।
fundamentally we all are different from each other, and I think we just need to keep reminding ourselves that we are all so different, and that is what's so beautiful.
Fashion label Human recently dropped a hard-hitting campaign on inclusivity led by Pranav Kirti. The fashion-forward label celebrated 8 billion humans and how they're all very different than each other.
This is just another step towards all the things that we've done in the last 10 years journey, which is to bring people's attention to that diverse fabric of our society. Your choices are so different from mine. Whether they are right or wrong is beyond my, it might just be beyond my understanding. But to accept that is I think humanly possible, which is what we try to showcase.
The capsule collection caught our attention as it honors the strength of an individual within a collective. It celebrated varied tastes and brought to the fore the notion of likening 8 billion humans on Earth to 8 billion distinct and unique flavors. Inclusivity is the order of the day and not just a woke sentiment. The campaign brings about a discussion on important societal issues.
Whatever we've done as a company or whatever I've done as a creative director, is the entire credit goes to the community that surrounds us. From all the artists that we feed on, present in our own community. Even from whether it's the body issue or the LGBTQ issue, I am literally reflecting on what they are, taking those conversations forward and leading. The brand is just a reflection of that.
It also shows the label's commitment and transition into creating statement pieces with an elevated approach. In New Delhi, Chaiti Narula for India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Union Minister Kiren Rijiju hit out at Rahul Gandhi after he said that the matter of China laying claim over Arunachal Pradesh was very serious, as China has already taken India's land in Ladakh too. Calling this remark by Congress on the China map as false propaganda, Kiren Rijiju asserted Rahul Gandhi should not speak China's language. He further said Ministry of External Affairs has expressed strong objection against China map. Rijiju asked Rahul Gandhi to support India, not China. He also alleged that Congress party has links with China and are trying to defame India.
You have to understand that China has been showing Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin as part of the Chinese publication of maps and their official publication. It is nothing to do with us. We are, as a state, Arunachal Pradesh is integral part of India. We are constitutionally, emotionally, for all purpose, part and parcel of India. Whether China publishes map, whether they include Arunachal or not, it doesn't matter. Arunachal is part of India. And when China publishes these kind of maps, it is nothing new. They have been publishing for last so many decades. I have a strong sense that Rahul Gandhi and his company, this Tukre gang, by endorsing the Chinese map and Chinese activities, they are trying to damage the Indian interest. Once Indian army, Indian officials make a statement, simply endorse it. This is not a political issue. This is a national issue. So, people of Arunachal Pradesh have nothing to do with the Chinese map or Chinese claim. For us, Arunachal is not a disputed territory. So why Congress is so much excited about Chinese publication of maps and inclusion of Arunachal and Aksai Chin in Chinese territory? It has been happening for decades. And suddenly, Chinese action and Rahul Gandhi's statement are all going in the same direction. So Rahul Gandhi and these people are speaking the Pakistani language. Like when we had a surgical strike and we had a air strike, Pakistan also questioned the veracity of those strikes. And Congress party also questioned the Indian army and they sought the proof. So the Pakistani action and the Congress party stance are always complementary to each other. Now, they are speaking the Chinese language. You see the timing. The China publishes a map and Rahul Gandhi raises this issue. See the tandem, how they are working in close coordination. What link Rahul Gandhi has with the Communist Party of China? Please tell us. Otherwise, why Rahul Gandhi should be demeaning the Indian position and always propagate the Chinese position.
In politics, everyone has an opinion, but I have the data. Whose stock is rising? Whose graph is falling? Track India's political stock exchange. Unmatched, unmissable data analytics. The only show on News TV where numbers do the talking. India's most credible poll tracker. The Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Kamal only on India Today.
Good evening, viewers. Let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 39. Mumbai is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 91. Panji is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 74. Ahmedabad is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 84. Bhopal is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 114. Jaipur is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 118. Delhi is at 36 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 169. Srinagar is at 30 degrees Celsius with AQI being 72. Lucknow is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 155. Patna is at 36 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 189. Kolkata is at 34 degrees with an AQI of 215. Hyderabad is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 72. Bangalore is at 29 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 40. Chennai is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 61. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me AI Sana all through the day.
So sorry.
ग्रेविटी जीरो यहाँ, इंडिया हीरो यहाँ, हम ही स्टार हैं, सभी बेकार हैं, साउथ पोल पे कोई आया ही नहीं है, सच तो ये जान लो। We are the best, 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 we are the best. Yes, we are best. दोस्तों ये चंद्रयान है, ये नंबर 1 है, यही शान है, तेज है, बड़ा स्मार्ट है, ये तो विज्ञान का बड़ा कमाल है। अरे भाई वाह, ये तो हिट है बजट कम में, ये तो फिट है, अरे भाई वाह, ये तो नंबर 1 है। कोई यहाँ लैंड किया कोई वहां लैंड किया, किसी की मेहनत पे पानी फिर गया, साउथ पोल में कोई आया ही नहीं है, सच तो ये जान लो। We are the best, we are the best, we are the best.
Yes, we are best.
We are the best, we are the best, we are the best.
Yes, we are best.
लैंड हो गया चंद्रयान, मेरा भारत महान। जय।
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra, fashion for your furniture.
Co-presented by Macho Hind, बड़े आराम से.
Co-powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, हर family होगी insured. Co-powered by the bold look of Kohler.
Hello and welcome. It's the biggest political news break of the moment. The government likely to bring a bill on one nation, one election in a specially convened session of Parliament from the 18th to the 22nd of December. Does this mean that general elections could potentially get advanced? Or could assembly elections due at the end of this year get pushed to happen along with the general election cycle? All kinds of questions, permutations, combinations floating in the air in the capital. We'll try and decode for you what can and cannot happen, what's likely, what's unlikely, and how this massive decision, if indeed the government does push it through on the 18th of September, how is it likely to play out? All that and more on the News Track.
Biggest political news break of 2023. Parliament special session scoop. Modi government to bring crucial bill. One nation, one election bill likely. Is India ready? Big focus on News Track.
All kinds of theories are doing the rounds in the political winds of the country. Some of them are probable, some of them highly improbable. We'll try and sift fact from fiction. Let's get started. Here are the headlines I'm tracking today. Special Parliament session called from the 18th to the 22nd of September. Key bills like One Nation, One Poll, Uniform Civil Code and Women's Reservation Bill likely to be brought in. Team India gets together in Mumbai. Uddhav Thackeray hosts gala dinner for opposition leaders. BJP slams the meeting, calls it an alliance of the corrupt. George Soros-funded collective accuses Adani Group of violating minimum public shareholding laws using opaque Mauritius-based funds. Rahul Gandhi demands JPC probe. Adani Group calls the allegations malicious. Indian economy expands at its fastest pace in a year. Growth rate clocks in at 7.8% in April-June. Beats Chinese growth by a large margin. Agri sector leads the charge. ISRO releases new set of Pragyan images. Vikram lander captured the rover rotating for a safer route. It's the biggest political news break of 2023, which could have massive consequences on the election cycle from here. The Modi government has called a special 5-day parliament session in September. Crucial legislations are likely to be brought in. India today has exclusively learned that the government is likely to bring in the One Nation, One Election Bill. Under the One Nation, One Election Bill, elections to the Lok Sabha and all state assemblies will be held in one single cycle. This idea has been mooted several times previously and has been studied in detail by the Law Commission of India. Bills on the Uniform Civil Code and the Women's Reservation Bill are also likely to be introduced in the special session of Parliament called from the 18th to the 22nd of September.
इंडिया गठबंधन बनने के बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी और नरेंद्र मोदी जी बुरी तरीके से बौखलाए हुए हैं और 3 राज्यों का चुनाव है। वो तीनों राज्यों के चुनाव बुरी तरीके से बीजेपी हारने जा रही है, जिसके कारण ये वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बात उन्होंने शुरू की है, चलाई जा रही है ये बात। दूसरा ये है कि ये चुनाव पहले कराना चाहते हैं और इनके अंदर घबराहट है साफ तौर पे। इंडिया गठबंधन से बौखलाहट, घबराहट का नतीजा है ये जो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बात की जा रही है और 3 राज्य के जो चुनाव हैं वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चुनाव है, वो बीजेपी हारने जा रही है।
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की तो बगैर हम राय मशवरा कर बगैर सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स से पूछकर, बगैर इलेक्शन कमीशन की रिपोर्ट लेकर, बगैर उनसे ये पूछकर कि ये पॉसिबल है या नहीं पॉसिबल है, बगैर वो सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज से पूछ करके इतना हम कर पाएंगे कि नहीं कर पाएंगे एट द सेम टाइम, बगैर उन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से पूछकर कि क्या वो सहमत है या नहीं सहमत है, बगैर चीफ मिनिस्टर्स को साथ में लेकर अगर वो ये निर्णय लेते हैं हम उसका विरोध करेंगे। तिलमिलाई हुई, घबराई हुई एंड लास्ट स्टेजेस ऑफ पावर में अपना पावर दिखाने की कोशिश करें, हम उसका विरोध करेंगे।
साथियों, एक और विषय है और वो भी इतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है, वो चुनावों का। वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन सिर्फ एक चर्चा का विषय नहीं है, बल्कि ये भारत की जरूरत है। हर कुछ महीने में भारत में कहीं न कहीं बड़े चुनाव हो रहे होते हैं। इससे विकास के कार्यों पर जो प्रभाव पड़ता है उसे आप सब भली भांति जानते हैं। ऐसे में वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन पर गहन अध्ययन और मंथन आवश्यक है।
जो राज्यों में चुनाव होने वाले हैं, 8 कुछ राज्यों में चुनाव होने वाले हैं, बहुत से लोग कहते हैं कि ये बार बार जो चुनाव होते हैं, मतलब अब 12 महीने में 8 राज्यों में अगर चुनाव होंगे तो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, रनिंग द कंट्री, ये सब बैकसीट ले जाए, सिर्फ इलेक्शन कैंपेन ही चलता रहता है।
इसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पंचायत से पार्लियामेंट के चुनाव एक साथ कराने का एक विचार देश की जनता के सामने रखा है, सभी दलों के सामने भी रखा है, पार्लियामेंट में भी उन्होंने बोला है और मैं मानता हूं कि समय आ गया है कि इस पर विचार होना चाहिए।
पर कब होगा ये? मतलब अब
देखिए, इसमें सबसे चर्चा तो करनी ही पड़ेगी, सबसे चर्चा कर ही ये हो सकता है, मगर प्रधानमंत्री जी के विचार रखते ही एक बहस तो छिड़ गई है। सब लोगों को लगता है कि हर साल चुनाव होना, हर महीने चुनाव होना, वो लोकतंत्र के लिए भी ठीक नहीं। इसका एक ही समय निश्चित कर लिया जाए।
Multiple perspectives and comments coming in on this big decision of the Modi government to call this special session of Parliament to talk about the One Nation, One Election bill. I'm joined on this broadcast by S.Y. Qureshi, highly well-regarded former Chief Election Commissioner of India. He's joining me on the news track. Mr. Qureshi, welcome. As a man who's led the Indian election process, can you begin by giving our viewers a sense of whether this is possible, if indeed between the 18th and the 22nd of September this bill is brought and somehow the government cobbles the 2/3 majority required both in the Rajya Sabha and in the Lok Sabha to pass this through? What does this mean? If you were CEC tonight, what would you be thinking?
Well, I don't think CEC has much role in it. The role is of the Parliament and the Constitution, because it has to be amended, as you rightly said, because the Constitution has fixed the term of the Houses and of Lok Sabha as 5 years. That this term cannot be extended by a day and cannot be curtailed except up to 6 months at the discretion of the Election Commission, just to hold simultaneous election with a major election which is going on at that time, or 4 or 5 states going at the same time. The result in one state may affect the result in another. That's why the elections are clubbed, and traditionally this has been happening for the 7 decades, and it has functioned pretty all right. The one nation, one election sounds good. So tomorrow it will be one nation, one political party. That also sounds good. Why not one nation, one leader? That also sounds great. So therefore, one nation, and using the word nation to create this kind of nationalism is fine, but then how will you do it? Now, to achieve simultaneous election, you'll have to extend the term of some and reduce the term of some other state, which is not possible. How will you do it?
What if it happens in a graded fashion? The most immediate set of elections are Telangana, you've got Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram. So either you bring the general elections forward and do it in conjunction with this round of assembly elections, or you push these assembly elections till April, May next year and do these assembly elections with the general elections. Which one of the two is more likely according to you and why?
No. Second option is not available at all. The term of an existing house cannot be extended by 1 day.
Can't they put president's rule and extend it by 6 months?
Yeah, you can have president rule and extend it. Yeah, that is true. The other is, at least in any case, these 3-4 states which you mentioned, they in the past they have been held simultaneously, and this time also they can be held simultaneously, but there will only be for 5 states. Second, Lok Sabha can be dissolved and these elections, 4 states and Lok Sabha can go together. But that is not exactly the simultaneous election that we are talking about. Simultaneous election of the whole country is what has been on the table.
But it can happen in grades. So you do one part of it right now and then you collapse more elections in the years to come, and in a 5-year cycle you bring it into a one nation, one election cycle without massive disruption. So there is some disruption but not a magnitude of disruption which is uncontrollable.
Correct, Rahul, that is right. But this was the debate which happened in 2014. And when Niti Aayog came up with this solution, there was a parliamentary committee which first discussed it. And they said, okay, if you can't do it all elections in 5 years. Remember, the Prime Minister at that time in 2013 had talked of simultaneous election of all 3 tiers, the Panchayat, the Lok Sabha, the Vidhan Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Later on, it got diluted and diluted and diluted. Nobody talked of Panchayat. Then parliamentary committee said, all right, do it in 2.5 years. The similar recommendation came from Niti Aayog, but that happened in 2014 and 15. What you are saying has been on the table for the last so many years. And but that is dilution. Then what purpose will it achieve? What moral authority is left in the proposal? If simultaneous election is very fine, when how many lakhs, 30 lakh sarpanches and then MLAs and MPs together, that's fine. But if
how much of a logistical challenge is it? If, for example, all the assembly and state elections happen together, I assume you'd need double the VVPATs. So is it basically double the effort? Like, would they be readily available?
Yeah. No. From the point of view of election management, this is the easiest thing to do because the voter is the same for all 3 tiers. The polling, the election machinery is the same, the district administration. The polling stations are the same, as you know, and the security apparatus is also the same. So, from the point of view election commission and management, this is the easiest thing and most convenient thing to do. We do elections once in 5 years and play golf for the next 5. Best thing to happen to us, right? But it's not possible. Election commission is appointed to conduct elections and not to postpone elections. Therefore, now, logistically, good question you ask. All probably that we will need is 3 times the EVMs. For instance, once we recycle the EVM, the same machine is used for Lok Sabha election.
How long does it take to produce these EVMs? Can it be done in time for this election cycle? I'm just curious.
I doubt it because this time is too short. This time is too short because 3 times means at the moment we have a reserve of about 20 lakh machines, 2 million. Now we have to.
How many do you need for a general election?
These 2 million, 20 lakhs are enough because we need for one general election and recycle them for the state
otherwise
election.
You need 6 million EVMs.
Yeah, then you need 6 million. Yes.
Is it manufactured only in one place or are they manufactured by many manufacturers?
No, only 2 places.
How much is their capacity?
I don't think they can produce 40 lakh machines in 6 months or 1 year. It will surely take longer than that.
Unless, of course, they've been producing them over the past several months and we didn't know about it, but that's a different matter. But interesting perspectives there from S.Y. Qureshi. I want to thank you for your time. You've pointed out what can be done. You've raised questions about what is difficult to be achieved. I just want to take our viewers through some of the occasions when a special session of Parliament has been called. 1992 August, 50th anniversary of the Quit India or the Bharat Chodo movement. Special session in 1997 on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of India's independence. 26 November 2015, 125th birth anniversary of B.R. Ambedkar. 2017 June 30th when the Modi government brought the GST, the Goods and Services text. So this isn't common. The fact that a special session is happening between the 18th and the 22nd, that we know because the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi tweeted about it. Now what this specifically entails and who this benefits or doesn't benefit is up for questions. Joining me on this broadcast at this time, I want a whole cross-section of perspectives. So let me welcome RP Singh from the BJP. Rajat Sethi joins us, political analyst. Rahul Verma is with us from the Centre for Policy Research. And with us is one of India's leading psephologists, co-director at Lokniti, Dr. Sanjay Kumar. RP Singh, let me start with you. What is this googly you've just bowled? Everyone was getting set for the G20 from the 8th, the 9th and the 10th. Suddenly you've got everyone wondering, I'm sure including yourself, will there be a general election sooner? What's going on?
Well, it's your guess or my guess. I mean, we don't know what the session is about. The Parliamentary Affairs Minister has not declared still the details of the session. He just said this special session. And obviously, when the session is called, the agenda will be discussed with the opposition also. And then all parties put together decide on the agenda of the Parliament. It's not just one party who decides. And if I go by what you are saying, that one nation, one election, then there has to be a cabinet meeting also for that to approve the one nation, one election. So I really don't know, because the indications are there with the media, but not with us. And then I don't see anything of that sort as far the processes of the democracy goes, that there is some preparedness or readiness for that. But yes, one nation, one election is a welcome thing, which should be welcomed by all. If process can start, if consultancy can start, if people can come on board, if political parties can come on board, nothing better than that, because it give me a second, because it would help us to perform better, and with any government to perform better without their work which they are doing, and also it will save a lot of money and a lot of energy and a lot of chaos also. So it's better if it can be done. And as Prime Minister
Rahul
said,
Verma, there's so many different theories doing the round. One is that the BJP is in for rough weather in the assembly elections which are due in November, December. Rajasthan is the one state where the BJP seems to be in front, but even there, because of Vasundhara Raje not being fully on board, the situation is tricky. Chhattisgarh seems to be a lost cause, the Congress clearly ahead. Madhya Pradesh also, the Congress with a narrower margin seems to have its nose ahead. In Telangana, the BJP's vote share, seat share according to the polling data has come down. The Congress has bounced up. It's 1-2 between Congress and BRS. Because of all of this, the conspiracy theory goes that they don't want the assembly elections to happen, and if they happen along with the Lok Sabha elections, because Prime Minister Modi is so popular, the BJP gets a tailwind. What's your reading of the political state of play? Who could this benefit? Who could this hurt?
The session, or
if one nation, one election is indeed brought at this time, who does it help? Who does it hurt?
It's hard to predict who will it hurt or benefit. Of course, if BJP is going to bring in this legislation, they have some calculation that given the Prime Minister's popularity, this may end up helping them in the short run. In the medium to long run, we don't know. And I think, as you rightly pointed out, Rahul, at the moment it looks like more of a conspiracy theory than a real thing for multiple reasons. Even if BJP seems to be trailing in all these 4 elections, I don't think there is any serious conversation within the party about advancing the elections by 6 months. I don't think Prime Minister Modi is going to do that. Second, as S.Y. Qureshi pointed out, that you can't extend these like by a day, right? Like the House cannot be extended by a day for these 4 states. And you can't just bring in President's rule, right? You will have to actually, President's rule can also be brought under certain circumstances. When the government recommends that there is a constitutional crisis in the state, only then President's rule can be brought in. So it's not easy at this point of time to basically either move these 4 state assembly elections and have it with Lok Sabha elections in May, or advance the Lok Sabha elections. I think maybe the government starts a conversation on one nation, one election or UCC. Both these would be just conversations. I don't think
so that's an important point you're making. You basically just floating the balloon like you did with the UCC, bring it in Uttarakhand, bring it in some of the other states, and then build it up. So it's one of the issues then which you're trying to generate conversation around. I want to go across to Mumbai. Joining us from there is Rajdeep Sardesai. He's tracking the big India meeting, speaking to a cross-section of opposition leaders. Rajdeep, we were all building up for the big G20 summit. I was interviewing Fareed Zakaria and the whole conversation was on geopolitics. The geo went out of the window. We're now only down to the politics. What's been the reaction in the India alliance after this announcement that a one nation, one election bill could be on the anvil on the 18th of September?
Rahul, two things. First of all, there is no announcement. This is source-based, number one. Number two, this is a talking point in my view. I don't think this is a serious attempt to try and push through the legislation of one nation, one election. It's a very complicated, complex issue where there are various stakeholders, including regional parties who are allied to the BJP, as well as state governments. Remember, a dozen state governments are not BJP-ruled states. I see it as a bit of a red herring. I do believe that Mr. Modi is using this session to make 2 points. One, his image, his stature enhanced in the backdrop of Chandrayaan and G20. It will be used by the treasury benches to push Mr. Modi's image. Unlike the previous monsoon session where the no confidence motion, the opposition targeted Mr. Modi on Manipur, this will be seen as a session where Mr. Modi and the BJP would like to set the narrative of being a strong leader who's giving India a global image. The GDP figure numbers are good today. I expect and we expect before the festive season, not just the LPG cut that took place 2 days ago, but also possibly a petrol diesel duty cut. Look, Mr. Modi wants to set the narrative and he will use this session to set the narrative amid speculation that this could be an early election. I agree with Rahul Verma. My experience of having discussed this issue with Mr. Modi is very clear. Atal Bihari Vajpayee made a big mistake by going in for an early election in 2004. That's a bad thing to do for whoever is in power. When you're in power, you use the instruments of power to your best ability. There's talk that in that session, he may even float the idea of a women's reservation bill. If not in September, then in November, December. Look, Mr. Modi believes he has a bag of arrows with him while he is in power. Also, while the India alliance still doesn't have an agenda set, he can constantly set the agenda. A lot of this also, Rahul, remember, happened on a day when in the morning the Adani revelations came in and the opposition looked like they were going to set the agenda. This is how Mr. Modi plays his politics. I sense that Mr. Modi wants to set the narrative early before the India alliance can get its act together. Hence this session being called where the Prime Minister will be the central figure. He wants to make 2024 a leadership contest. He will use this session to try and project himself as the supreme leader.
You know, but when you throw too many balls up in the air, you also need to be able to collect them. You know, you've got the Ram Temple, you've got the UCC, you've got one nation, one election. All of this, especially one nation, one election, will have a counter reaction from other parties. For example, would Naveen Patnaik or a Jagan Reddy who've been on the margins supporting the BJP government and all crucial opportunities be as enthusiastic about one nation, one election? Because, you know, does it necessarily suit them? Just inadvertently, in any case, Orissa and Andhra Pradesh happen to go to elections when the general elections happen. But there are lots of boards, lots of pieces on the board which will have to be realigned once this goes in. For example, you mentioned the women's reservation bill. So far, the RJD and the SP are part of the India alliance. If the women's reservation bill were to be brought, the RJD and the SP will have their own view on it and could split the India alliance down the middle.
But you see, Rahul, this is about agenda setting. 1 month ago or 2 months ago, the government floated uniform civil code. And then they saw it, they weren't getting traction. I'm told the internal survey showed it may be getting traction within the core BJP vote, but there were concerns over whether in tribal areas and other areas, once you dissected the bill, whether it would get the same traction. It was done in a sense to offset the opposition's attempt to push Manipur. Now you've got a situation where the Prime Minister believes he's got a window of opportunity before you get into real state election mode, that's October, November, December, to try and push in these other trial balloons, women's reservation, one nation, one election. Give the impression that you're constantly doing something new. That's been the way Mr. Modi does his politics. I keep maintaining, I don't think the opposition recognizes the kind of political animal they are confronting. Mr. Modi is a politician with whom you can expect the unexpected. He will constantly be seen to be doing things to push the opposition on the defensive. Hence, he's throwing this idea of a special session where he hopes to, after what happened in the no confidence motion, where the government was for a large part on the defensive on Manipur, can he now be on the aggressive with Chandrayaan, with G20, with a decent GDP growth rate figures coming in, suggest that India is a nation on the move and give a more positive signaling ahead of the festive season. That's my sense of the man. I could be proven horribly wrong and he could surprise us by saying I'm going in for a snap poll, but I would be very surprised if that really happens.
Okay, thank you very much, Rajdeep, for joining us. Rajdeep will have more when he comes on with News Today at 9. I want to go across to Rajat Sethi, who understands the inner workings of the current BJP. Rajat, what's your reading of, forget what happens ultimately, because that's not known for sure. If one nation, one election is brought in on the 18th of September, what would be the inner thinking in the BJP at the moment?
Well, I think if you were to go by this hypothesis that one nation, one election has to be implemented, then there is no other way other than the national election getting preempted. There could be multiple explanations for that as well. One explanation could be that several state elections are anyway going to polls, and doing it alongside the national election might rub off the goodwill that Prime Minister Modi carries on.
But this cuts both ways. Also, the other theory is that just one second, Rajat. Last time, when the BJP lost in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, a lot of the anti-incumbency that had got built against the BJP locally got washed out when they lost those assembly elections. It gave the BJP and Prime Minister Modi a clean slate in time for the Lok Sabha election. So that same theory cuts both ways.
Well, in my opinion, when a party is going for national elections, it would be largely in and around the national figures, which would be that of Prime Minister Modi. The local anti-incumbency would fade away in that light, because that suddenly changes the game. Also, remember, there are important states where the governments aren't pretty stable. Look at Maharashtra, for example. Look at other similar states which might, want to en masse resign and ensure that they all go together with the national election. So if that hypothetical situation is in the realm of possibility, then I believe that few more states will join the bandwagon and would want to go for, at least if we see a healthy mix of 5, 6, 7 additional states come together. We can have Jammu Kashmir, by the way, which might also go preemptively along with the national elections. So if there is a solid a number of states, one nation, two elections can also be within the realm of possibility, if not all the states coming together in one go.
Okay, you can do it gradually and in stages rather than trying to do it all at once. I want to go across for a psephological perspective to Dr. Sanjay Kumar as I welcome Vikas Singh, who's come in a very bright shirt. So give me, Mr. Singh, just a moment to come to you. I want to go to Sanjay Kumar first on psephologically, and if you look at the arithmetic of the elections, if this round of assembly elections was held in conjunction with the Lok Sabha elections, does it really help the BJP enough to want to make such a big change?
It certainly helps the BJP, Rahul, and why I say that, there is a clear evidence. I have analyzed data over a period of time, looked at all the elections which are held simultaneously, in a sense, state assembly election which has been held along with the Lok Sabha elections, and also state assembly elections which are not held along with the Lok Sabha elections. And there is a clear difference. The bigger national party, whichever party is in power at that moment, or the party which is dominant party at the moment, stands to gain even in a state assembly election, when state assembly election are held along with the Lok Sabha election. And when you hold the assembly elections, say 6 months away from the Lok Sabha election, whether it is before or after, the impact of that bigger national party goes down. So, and this is the data which I have analyzed, which I have put it out in public domain. It's published in the book. So going by that trend in the past, I think if state assembly elections of this round are held along with the Lok Sabha election, BJP certainly stands to gain. To what extent? Very difficult to predict at this moment.
No, but the counter to that is that there is a certain level of anti-incumbency which is only natural to build after say 18 years of being in power in Madhya Pradesh, after 9 years of being in power at the centre, that could get washed out in the assembly elections. If you go and do the state assembly elections and the Lok Sabha elections at the same time, you are going into the polls facing double anti-incumbency.
Yes, there are both the theories can be floated, but my own sense is that when you hold the Lok Sabha elections together, Prime Minister Modi is on the forefront. Prime Minister Modi's campaign, his face will be on the forefront. I am not saying that in the state assembly election his face will be not on the forefront. Even in the state assembly election, whether it is Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh or any other state, BJP will take the advantage of using Prime Minister's face. But remember, there is a chief minister in the state. Madhya Pradesh, the chief minister has been in power. BJP is chief minister for last 18-19 years. So it becomes important for the state, for the BJP to also use chief minister's face. If you hold the Lok Sabha and the state assembly elections together, I think Prime Minister Modi's impact would be so high that it would be able to contain to a great extent if there is any anti-incumbency against the state government. That's my reading.
Okay, it could definitely help in a state like Telangana, where as of now, because of Karnataka and everything that's happened since the Congress seems to be in the ascendant, you make the Lok Sabha and the assembly elections happen together, suddenly BJP is a stronger force than it would be. So we'll build on the politics, but I want to go for a legal perspective to Vikas Singh. I love the color of your shirt and how bright you are, so nicely done there. Vikas, can you explain to our viewers what this requires legally? From what I gather, it requires a constitutional amendment which will require 2/3 majority, at least 5 articles of the Constitution, Article 83, Article 85, 172, 174, 356 need to be changed, which have different aspects of how elections are held and how soon you can call the next election. What would this entail from a legal point of view?
So, Rahul, you're right, 83 will have to be amended, 172 will have to be amended.
So 83 is the term of the Lok Sabha will be 5 years from the first date of sitting. 172, which you mentioned, is Legislative Assembly will be 5 years from the date of sitting. But go on.
So both these articles talk of unless earlier dissolved. So it will have that unless earlier dissolved will have to be, deleted. And it will have to provide for a fixed term. And it will also have to say that there will be a first term which will be specified, which will probably have to be 24. That in 24 all the elections will happen and then they'll all go on for 5 years. But the real, working of this will happen by the amendment to the anti-defection law. Because the moment you have a weak anti-defection law which permits a person to resign, so defect from a particular political party and lose his seat and come back into the same assembly or the same Lok Sabha. So that disqualification is not qualified as to what is the disqualification. Unlike in the disqualification for a criminal, offence, there is a 6-year period specified for any conviction for more than 2 years. Here, the disqualification doesn't say that this disqualification will be for 1 day or for 1 year or 5 years or 6 years. According to me, and it has been, according to me, wrongly interpreted by the Supreme Court that you can come back to the same assembly or the same parliament after having been disqualified for having...
No, so if there's one election, one nation, for whatever reason, take Madhya Pradesh, Scindia left, the government came into minority, now the Madhya Pradesh government of Kamal Nath is no longer in majority. What happens then? Is there president's rule for 2.5 years? Do they have elections midterm? No. If they have elections midterm, then what happens to the idea of one nation, one election?
So when you talk of the no confidence motion, the Law Commission in its recommendation has suggested that there will be not a no confidence motion, but there will be an alternative expression of giving confidence in somebody else. So it will not be a no confidence simpliciter. The no confidence will have to have a positive recommendation for some other alignment to take over in place of the government being shunted out. So it can't be a simpliciter no confidence. So if there is a no confidence motion and if there is no alternative, then there's no confidence.
No, so apart from 2/3 majority in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, from what I gather, this also needs to go to the states. and half the states at least need to approve this, because many of the states aren't BJP run. Why would a state like Karnataka, where Siddaramaiah and Shiv Kumar just came to power, or West Bengal under Mamata Banerjee, which won a very tough election, why would they ever agree to this?
According to me, Rahul, it doesn't require to go to the assemblies, because that is only if it is part 4 of, part 5 of chapter 4, or part 6 of chapter 5, and chapter 1 of part 11. So only in these parts of the constitution you require to go to the assembly.
So you're saying they can bring this law, it will be law, it doesn't need to go to the states?
It doesn't need to go to the
That's
states.
your reading, because I've heard that they do need to go to the states.
No, I don't think so, because the requirement of going to the states is only for certain articles when they need to be amended, and 83 and 172 are not included in those. And the moment you provide for a fixed term in those two articles and say that there can't be any dissolution of the assembly or the parliament in between, then that I think should seal the issue, which will not require these. So three things. So one will be the anti-defection law to be amended. The second will be that there will be no confidence motion. It will have to be always a no confidence motion along with a confidence motion. And thirdly, these articles will have to specify a fixed term. And once the fixed term is specified and the record date is set, that 2024 will be the first election, then thereafter every 5 years, 29 and 34, etc., the election to the entire country will be held. That, according to me, is the way forward as far as doing this is concerned constitutionally.
Okay, thanks Vikas Singh for joining us. Do also keep in mind that this could be the initiation of the conversation in Parliament. So you introduce the bill, say that we want that there be a debate, and that we realize that we may not be able to push it through just at this moment, but that's where we are going. So thinking about 2028-29, could that be the direction? Because you can't make such big change happen all at the same time. I want to get a quick final word from Rahul Verma. A lot of the parties in Parliament, especially in the Rajya Sabha, which have been supporting the BJP, are they likely to stick along with the BJP? Because on matters which aren't of personal interest, the likes of Jagan Reddy may weigh in on the side of the BJP, but if it's a matter which concerns his own personal and political interest, he'll think about it 10 times over.
Absolutely. And so far we haven't heard many of these parties, especially the state level parties, on what their opinion on one nation, one election is. And the likelihood of a party like YSRCP or BJP going with BJP on this bill is very low. And even then, like, my position at the moment is that I don't think government is serious about bringing one nation, one election.
RP Singh, the charge that we are hearing from the India Alliance, the likes of Omar Abdullah and the others tweeting essentially to say that because the Adani story was in the headlines, because Rahul Gandhi did that big press conference, therefore you floated this trial balloon to get the attention away from a story which puts you in the dock.
Well, will you leave a story because of this? No, you're not going to. The media is not going to leave any story for that. But every media will pursue whatever is important for the nation. But as far as Adani's story goes, I have other side to say that. Rahul Gandhi wanted to take a lead from the complete INDA group, so he did what he did. I mean, he repeated what he repeated. But fact is that we also are not aware, because all political parties will be taken on board before the agenda is brought to the parliament, and then everything will be discussed with all political parties, and then the agenda will be there in front of them. So let's wait for that time.
Okay, Sanjay Kumar, final words. How could this impact some of the assembly elections? Because see, one is to do this when Prime Minister Modi is around, and therefore naturally you've got this big banyan tree, you can provide shade to some of the other states, save them from the sun of anti-incumbency, and therefore get them over the hump in a state like Haryana, which would otherwise be tricky, but it kind of goes through because of the Modi wave. But once a change of this kind is made, it stays forever. So it's not a short